Live from China and the Shanghai Oriental Stadium, it's the CAFL on One World Sports. Hello, everyone. I'm Lou Tilley, along with Mick Moneyhoff and Sandra Parks will be joining us for interviews in both Chinese and English as well. It's the big one, the China Bowl, the championship of the first ever China Arena Football League. And Mick Moneyhoff, we're looking forward to a great matchup between the undefeated Beijing Lions and the Qingdao Clipper. It's offense of Clint Dozel in Beijing against the defense of Qingdao. But first, a major change in the lineup for Beijing.
Absolutely, because James Romain, their two-way player, one of the stars in this league, 3 interceptions, great kick returner, great on offense. He has a hand injury. He is out. He will not play today. So big changes in the secondary. Most importantly, you'll see Colin Taylor and Chris Deeker in the secondary at times today.
A big change trying to take on the star quarterback of Qingdao. Let's take a look at the keys to the game as we see them. Beijing comes in undefeated with an excellent offense. How do you stop them on defense for Beijing against Qingdao?
Well, if you're Qingdao, you got to go with Jake Metz and Matt Moss up front. Try to get Luke Collis out of his rhythm, but that's tough because he completes 70% of his passes.
Yeah, they have an excellent offense. Can Jake Metz, who was the Defensive Player of the Year in the United States, offset that? We are playing arena football, and of course, and it's predominantly a passing league, so let's take a look at the two quarterbacks. As Mick has mentioned, Collis has had a sensational year, but so has Brian Randall for Qingdao.
And that is really the wild card in this one, because Randall is one of those guys who has the size and the speed. He can pull it down and take off, and that could cause some problems for that Beijing defense.
And that's coming up next. It's the final. Qingdao taking on Beijing. It's the China Bowl, we call it. It's the end of the long road. 6 cities and 6 weeks and 6 teams going at it head-to-head. Yesterday you saw a doubleheader of the playoffs. Now comes the finals for the China Bowl championship. And as a result, a special pregame ceremony coming your way right now. Let's go down to Sandra Parks to introduce the players and the founder of the CAFL. Let's go down live to Sandra.
各位观众朋友们，大家好！各位上海的观众朋友们，下午好！我们很高兴你们今天来到 CAFL 的总冠军赛。我们现在要有请我们两支队伍进场。 北京雄狮队和青岛快船队，请大家大声的鼓励一下，好不好 ？Now we're gonna welcome our 2 teams going for the championship, Beijing Lions and Qingdao Clippers.
女士们、先生们，各位亲爱的球迷朋友们，欢迎大家来参加2001的全国职业美式室内橄榄球巡回赛上海站中国碗总决赛。 现在有请2支决赛球队，北京雄狮队和青岛。
Sandra Parks handling our pregame introductions on the field, and now this has become a tradition throughout our 6-week tour of 6 cities in China as we march out our starting teams to center field. The fans all clapping in unison, and you'll notice that lining the field are all 6 of our teams tonight, not just our contenders in the final. There's Beijing in their black with a gold trim, and there's Qingdao in their royal blue with a red trim. Uniform not unlike Ole Miss back in the United States in NCAA football. Beijing comes in at 6-0, undefeated and rarely challenged. Qingdao at 3-2, but an explosive team and a great challenge with their defensive stars on hand. So these are our starting teams in the 2 center rows, and all 6 of our teams represented here. And let's go back to Sandra for the introduction of our starters and our players.
各位观众们，我们现在来认识一下我们的球员，好不好？听不到你们的热情，我们要来介绍一下球员们，好不好？ Now we're gonna get to know our players from each team. First up is our Qingdao Clippers. 第一个是我们的青岛快船队。Can you please tell us your name and where you're from? 他要跟我们讲你的名字，还有从哪里来。
Big play, Ray Gray, Chicago.
何之磊，湖北武汉。
Brian Randall, Williamsburg, Virginia.
Joe Fennessy, Warren, Ohio.
Rayshawn Kaiser from the 216.
Jake Metz, Philly. Qingdao, Jayo!
Sean Brackett, Brooklyn, Connecticut.
Xavier Boyes, the 757.
踢球手李超然来自青岛。
王世学来自辽宁。
Tanner Varner out of Iowa.
张天初来自秦皇岛。
百特尔托尔逊来自新疆乌鲁木齐。
艾里扎提阿里莫来自新疆巴州。
Wandale Rutledge, Lampasas, Texas.
王成林来自北京。
杨鹏生来自河北张家口。
长春来自不是我的名字叫于浩然，来自长春。
我叫孙硕，来自山东济南。
Matt Moss, San Diego, California.
Jason Holman 804 VA.
我们现在介绍给你们是北京雄狮队。Now we're gonna introduce Beijing Lions.
Calvin Fans, North Capital, Texas.
陈志平 North Capital 台北。
张小佳 North Capital 来自北京。
Neil Tibbs, North Caps, Denton, Texas.
理想辽宁。张天豪来自河北石家庄。
Wayne Tribune North Capitals York Pennsylvania。
张翔宇来自山东。北京加油！
陈云晨来自河北廊坊。
Louis Nzegu, North Capital, Wisconsin.
Rustin Mayorga North Capital California。
Sue Lam, North Capital, Guangzhou.
我叫艾利亚，我来自新疆。
James Romaine, North Capital, Far Rockaway, New York.
Therese Jones, North Capital, North Carolina.
张俊兴 North Capital，我来自深圳。Colin Taylor, the North Capital, Carmel, Indiana.
熊兴龙来自湖南。
Pat Clark North Capital Delaware.
Chris Deeker, the North Capital, Topeka, Kansas.
Luke Collis, the North Capital, Los Angeles.
Erwin Wu, Wu Erwin, North Capitals, Shanghai.
我们现在邀请我们的创始人，还有我们的主席 CAFL 主席马蒂加基先生，还有 Gary Morris 先生。Hello, Mr. Marty. How are you?
Hey, I am great. I'm wonderful.
How are you feeling now? Like you had a dream, you said, and now we are here at the very first China Bowl championship game.
5 years ago, I had this dream. Today, history is being made, and we've got not just one championship team at the end of this game, but we have all 6 championship teams for these teams that have played really hard for the last 6 weeks and brought something to China that never existed before. This is, for first ever in China, the China Bowl Championship. This is the Super Bowl of arena football. I'm so proud of all you guys. Thank you very much.
马蒂加基说，他5年前有一个梦想，就是希望能够把美式橄榄球带到中国来。今天他说，不是只有1个冠军，而是有6个冠军队伍。因为这6个队伍在之前的6个礼拜比赛非常辛苦，也非常激烈。他非常感谢这些球员们的辛苦工作，然后非常希望你们能够享受这一场比赛，然后能够再度回来看我们的美式橄榄球。Now next to me is Mr. Gary Morris, and how does that feel now, like watching this happening in front of you?
Just incredible. And thank you, everybody, for coming this afternoon to see a historical game between Beijing and Qingdao.
他说非常感谢各位观众的来临，来看我们这场比赛，然后他希望会有一个非常好的结果。我们现在把现场交回给摄影棚 ，Now toss it back upstairs to the guys.
Marty Judge, so many of us in this building, on that field, and right here in this broadcast booth have so much to be thankful for to Marty Judge. And if you're watching back in Philly, I know you all feel the same way. And now let's go down to the field. Sandra, Marty, the ceremonial coin toss for the start of the China Bowl and our CAFL championship game. The captains meeting there, Jake Metz on the right, Qingdao on the right. And on the left,
how y'all
the Beijing Lions.
This is our coin, Beijing. You're the home team. Heads will be here. That is tails. This is tails. That is heads. You will call a coin toss. What it will be?
Tails.
Tails is called. Mr. Judd, would you do the honors, please?
We just made a bet. He bet $100 it would be tails. I bet it's going to be heads.
It is tails. You won the toss. You want to defer. You want to receive. Are you kicking from this end? You kicking from here. Gentlemen, shake hands. Come out and have a great ball game.
And there you have it. Marty Judge rarely loses. The China Bowl is just ahead. It's Beijing versus Qingdao live from Shanghai, China on One World Sports.
They won, deferred, and were kicking that way, correct?
Hard-hitting, high-scoring. After 5 weeks of exciting American football action, it's here. CAFL Championship weekend in Shanghai. The China Arena Football League caps its Super Series tour with the crowning of its first champion in the historic China Bowl at Shanghai Oriental Stadium. Championship weekend begins with the Dalian Dragon Kings take on the Shenzhen Naya and the Shanghai Skywalkers versus the Guangzhou Power. Then the grand finale, the Qingdao Clipper go head-to-head with the undefeated Beijing Lions for the China Bowl title. Sports in China has a new player, the China Arena Football League. Speed, power, toughness. After 5 weeks and 5 cities, the CAFL Super Series Tour is ready to showcase its first ever champion. American Arena Football has arrived in China. The China Bowl, Shanghai Oriental Stadium is here now.
The CAFL on One World Sports is brought to you by Spalding, the official football of the CAFL. By Zenith, the world leader in helmets and shoulder pads. By the Judge Group, China. By Legend Sportswear, uniforms and apparel of the CAFL. By Sisu, mouthguards. By Smitty's Apparel for officials. By Lou Tilly Media, producers of the CAFL. By DJO Global. By Yu. By Eastern China Airlines. By Maritz Travel. And by the Doubletree Hotel by Hilton, Beijing.
It's been a short first season, but it culminates this afternoon. And early this morning back in North America, there's Rod Miller, the head coach of Qingdao, will take on this man who's favored, Clint Dozell, the champion back in the U.S. and trying to make it a double here in China. And this is how they finished in the regular season. Beijing clearly on top and the favorite here today, taking on Qingdao, which was the #2 team. And they meet for the championship here today. And here are the key players to watch for in today's matchup. Of course, the quarterbacks, you can always talk about them. And the key for Qingdao on defense is Jake Metz. He's one of the impact players. Can he offset the great offense of Colin Taylor and the offensive line of Neil Tivis? All pros across the way, but a big change. James Romaine, a real impact player, is scratched from the lineup. Number 25 will not be there when Beijing lines up for the opening kickoff, and that's coming right now. We're live from China, the CAFL on One World Sports. I'm Lou Tilly. I'll have the color. Sandra Parks will have live updates from the sidelines with us in both English and Mandarin as we are feeding and producing to both great nations, the United States on One World Sports and also on national television all across China today on iQIYI. And now to take you through the play-by-play, my partner throughout the Super Series, here's Mick Monninghoff.
Thank you very much, Lou Tilly. We are set for the opening kick in the first ever professional football championship in China, the China Bowl. Glad you could be with us on One World Sports for this one. And Calvin Vance is ready to return this kick.
Oh, man, what a change. This guy is a defensive lineman and outside linebacker with Romaine out. That's who returns the kicks.
And here's the kick from Chao Ran Lee, a low line drive that hits the wall, and I believe it's going to go to the 20-yard line because it hit the wall before crossing over the goal line.
And Clint Dozell made that decision. He's coached Vance back in the United States. He is the champion of the AFL in the U.S. back in August. He is streaking. He's trying to win 2 titles in a row on other sides of the globe. He's a Hall of Famer himself as a quarterback. He protects his passer. He gets the ball out fast. That's his style. Rod Miller, coach of Qingdao, knows all about that. He was schooled under Dozell as well as Derek Stingley in Philadelphia, so he won't be fooled, and he is a real motivator and has a great defense to play with in today's matchup. And there's Big Rod.
They placed the football at the 5-yard line as it did actually break the plane before going out of bounds. So it's going to be 1st and 10 at the 5 for the Beijing Lions and Luke Collins, who completes 71% of his passes. And the first pass of the game for Kyle Taylor is incomplete.
And that's the kind of reason why he's hitting on 72% of his passes. As Clint Dozell says, you should be able to play this game without a helmet because I want to get that ball out quick. Collis is big at 6'3", 225. Los Angeles, California, played at Occidental and was Dozell's backup quarterback with the Philadelphia Soul.
1,178 yards and 24 touchdowns for Luke Collis, who has Colin Taylor, Erwin Sinet-Wu, and Tahuti Alea. They call him AI, wears number 27. He gets to start in place of James Romaine here today as a wideout. Taylor goes in motion, and Collis is looking for Taylor. There's contact, and the flags come out as he got tangled up with Joe Hennessy. I think we're going to see pass interference.
And in the AFL, that's a good gamble as far as a penalty is concerned by Finnissy, who knows all about Colin Taylor. Joe's been playing in the NFL for
Defense,
years.
number 5. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's my point. It only cost him 5 yards, and that was a touchdown-type pass on the way to Colin Taylor, who's one of the best,
Correction on
both
penalty
in the U.S.
Holding on a defense is a 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And in the CAFL, yeah, that's a 10-yard penalty.
All right, so it's still going to be first down.
Now it's R.J. Detillier who will be our man, the referee, calling all the plays today with Vincenzo Caladrelli, Ricardo Zampidri, Terry Valenti, and then a guy named Bud McCleskey.
How'd he get in there?
I don't know. Isn't that funny?
So it will be first and 10 at the 15-yard line. Neil Tivis, Wayne Tribune in the center. Tien Hao Zhang start up front. And this is the quarterback going to keep the football on the design run. And we have seen more and more quarterbacks running the football in the CAFL.
Well, Dozell back in the AFL in the U.S. is one of the few coaches that employs the run game as part of his regular offensive strategy. But back there, he has like real running backs. Here, he's playing. You see, his faces are really something to watch during the game. He's been running his quarterbacks as his running game threat here and using his fullback really as a blocker.
Of course, they do have Chris Deeker, who plays quarterback and also runs the football as well. You'll see both of those guys maybe running the football here today. 2nd and 7 at the 18, and a quick out. Here's Emerson Wu makes the catch. And they'll pick up positive yards. USC did not play football there, but he's turned into a big-time possession receiver.
Now watch when he gets the ball. Very tricky in a way. He's short, kind of stubby. He's not what you'd call slim, but he knows how to catch it. 34 years old, came back to play here in China and has been one of the best China receivers in the league. Number 2.
Sinet-Wu, with his 27th reception on the season, sets up a 1st and 10 as the football now comes across midfield. Just underway, first possession of the ball game, 11:50 and the clock moving. Good look at Chen-Ling Wong, who starts up front defensively with Matt Moss and Jake Metz. The linebackers, Shilei Hall. So here we go on 1st and 10. Football at the 21-yard line, and Collis looking for AI, and Alea drops the football.
And there's a big mistake there. This is sort of like a running play in Dozell's offense. That ball has to be caught. And so when you put this guy, AI, into the lineup in place of James Romaine, there is a considerable drop-off. And that last-minute change that we got just before we went on the air, that Romaine, who was elected as the Steel Man of the Year, the best all-around player in the AFL, out of the lineup. If it was an 8-point spread before the game, I would lower that to 6 or 5 with the loss of Romaine.
Here's what you lose. James Romaine, 21 receptions for 5 touchdowns. And Tahuti Alea, 5 receptions, 1 touchdown. Here we're looking at 2nd and 10. 21-yard line. And the quick toss to the outside to Sinet-Wu, who got to the 20, and Jake Metz wraps him up. Lead of 1 on the play.
Again, just a short swing, tantamount to a run play. You hope that the other wide receiver will get a block down. But look at Jake Metz hustling all the way out from his defensive end position to make the tackle for a 1-yard gain. That's the kind of athlete that number 8 is on defense. 6'6", 265, runs a 4.75 40, and was the defensive player of the year back in the U.S. And he's really going to let it fly today for Qingdao to win.
First big play for the Lions offense as they look at a 3rd and 8. On the 19-yard line. Collis wants to throw deep to the end zone, and this ball may have been tip that is incomplete. Sonette Wu was the intended receiver.
Look at the difference, if you believe in the early going, as this ball is well covered. But the receiver did get his hands on the ball.
Batier Tosun was defending on the play. He did not touch the ball. Sonette Wu could not bring it in.
So Beijing operating with primarily 2 of their 3 wide receivers are the Chinese variety, and that is a step down from the U.S. pros who are here. And that is going to make a big difference in the outcome of this ball game. Or could.
Well, they were going to send Sonette Wu to the near side. Now he goes to the far side, and Deeker, I believe, comes in as a receiver on this set as well. 4th down and 8. Deeker goes in motion. Collis with a quick toss, and it's complete. And Deeker makes the catch along the boards.
And that's a huge one for the first down, and Deeker is a huge player at 6'5", 225. I think you're going to see a lot of the converted quarterback because of the loss of Romaine. He runs that drag pattern from the left motion man all the way to the right boards on an angle. Very tough to cover without linebacker help underneath, and they did not pick up the first down.
We are live at Shanghai Oriental Stadium, the first ever China Bowl. Beijing taking the opening kickoff and now driving where it's 1st and goal at the 9-yard line. Sonette Wu and Deeker come to the near side. Taylor will be in motion.
If you were inside the 5, you probably see Deeker in there as the quarterback to run it.
Thomas, 2-step drop, throws the fade pattern, and it looked like pretty good defense by Kaiser as he was able to put a little bit of a body on Colin Taylor.
So
it's incomplete.
Let's talk about these matchups without Romaine on there as a speed threat deep. Now you can concentrate on 17. There he is, Taylor coming back to the huddle. That's the one real pass-catching threat now remaining for Beijing. So they'll put Kaiser on him, and he's an excellent ball hawk, a perennial all-star back in the United States, one of the all-time leading interceptors in AFL history. So Rayshawn Kaiser against Colin Taylor becomes the key matchup now in this ball game in the pass game.
Tien Chu Zhang, Finney, and Kaiser in that secondary for Qingdao on 2nd and goal at the 9-yard line. Deeker goes in motion, and a look across the middle. Caught! Touchdown! Colin Taylor!
At the matchup, it was the skinny post, the quick post, where Taylor has to read the defensive back along with his quarterback. And depending on the side that Kaiser plays him to, the receiver will go to the open side, the open shoulder. Quarterback has to read it and throw it there. That is the bread and butter of the Philadelphia Soul and of this offense as well. And this is what the CAFL has been known for. The new Fun League worldwide. Yes, hello everyone. My name is Colin Taylor, and we are the Beijing Lions. And here's the play again. See how he's reading his head all the way. He cuts to the post, and Collis does a good job with an accurate throw.
And Taylor with a nice leaping catch right there in the end zone where it's 6-0. And now Patrick Clark III, who has the best percentage and extra points at 80%, is on for the kick. And this one is no good. So we will take a timeout, but I think that we have a flag on the play, so let's just hold on before we go to break. A good look at the Colin Taylor touchdown as R.G. Detillier has the call.
Well, that gives him another shot to either kick it or now run for 2. Jake Metz was called for being offsides on the play. And they'll kick it again.
So we'll see if Patrick Clark III can keep that percentage at 80. He came in 32 of 40 on the season. Trying to make it 7. Here's the kick. That's no good.
Ooh.
So it stays 6-0 as the extra point is no good.
That's going to get into his head later in the game, I guarantee you.
Absolutely. Scoring on the opening drive. We'll see if Qingdao can answer. Beijing leads it by a score of 6-0. Back in a moment on One World Sports.
With the loss of the Steelman of the Year, James Romain out of the lineup with a nerve injury and loss of some feeling in his hand. That's number 25. He's out. Sandra Parks had a chance to talk with the Steelman All-Around Player of the Year. Here's Sandra.
Spoke with Romain and asked him how bad he wanted to play, and he's like, he wanted to play so bad. But he said his replacement, Chris Deaker and CT, are going to do a great job. 他说他今天真的很想要打球，但是没有办法，因为他受伤。他希望他的 replacement， 他的代替的球员 Chris Deaker 应该会做很好的工作。Now toss it back upstairs to the guys.
All right, here's the kick by Patrick Clark. It will be taken by Reggie Gray near the back of the end zone. And Gray's got speed. He's at the 15 to the 20, and finally knocked out of bounds across the 20 near midfield by the kicker, Patrick Clark III.
Well, a good diplomatic answer as we watch Reggie Gray's solid return, one of the best players all around. He was a contender for our Steelman of the Year, just like James Romain, who won it because of his exceptional play on defense, which is always the norm. But also the 19 pass catches and 9 touchdowns, and he also returned 2 kicks and an interception for touchdowns. He's out of that lineup, no matter what he says about Chris Deaker. That is not a replacement for the kind of speed and big playability that number 25 gives that Beijing offense. It's going to be more of a struggle for Beijing to win this.
And the last 2 times these teams met, you had 3 touchdown receptions by James Romain in that ball game. It was a game that was won by Beijing, 47-33. 1st and 10, midfield for Brian Randall. Throws that first down. Reggie Gray makes the catch. And he is close to the 10-yard line, maybe inside the 10.
So let's talk about the quarterback for Qingdao. Right there, the man with the ball has a good arm and is a savvy quarterback at the age of 34. He was a big star at Virginia Tech under Frank Beamer, where he replaced Michael Vick. And so that means you know he can run the ball as well as throw it. And he has some of the most balanced stats of quarterbacks in the CAFL. And more than that, he's a great leader. He's a flag down.
Personal foul, face mask, number 55, offense. 10-yard penalty, replay first down.
Well, that negates a great first down pickup by the Qingdao team, and somewhere in that pile somebody grabbed a first face mask, and that's using your hands in pass blocking, and that's not good.
Now the penalty goes against Wandale Rutledge, who starts up front with Jason Holman and Chenling Wong.
Brian Randall's number 6'2", 220, and he's stronger than that. He has great escapability. He reminds me of a young Donovan McNabb in that way. He can use his legs and run forward, and he's had some sensational dashes to the end zone in our series so far. But mostly he uses the legs to create, to buy time in the pocket, and then has the arm to finish the play.
So it'll be 1st and 20 as the football is spotted at the 15-yard line. Reggie Gray, Xavier Boyce, and Gautier Kusun are your receivers, and thrown across the middle. That is Reggie Gray making a catch all the way to the 20-yard line. You see it most likely against Beijing, as you say, Luke.
And it looks like a gain of 17, so they'll probably take it.
Good scramble ability there by the quarterback. That's what we talked about in our open.
Defense, number 89. That penalty refused, results in a play, first down.
Completed pass goes to Reggie Gray. Penalty went against Paul Cheng.
Instead of 21, he picks up 17 on his first catch of the day. Here's Matt Moss, and next to Jake Metz, and there might be the key to the ball game. Those 2 bookend defensive ends. Sometimes Metz plays the MAC linebacker. He's kind of free to pick his spot on defense, and he has that kind of talent. And here's Rod Miller talking with R.G. Detillier, who's our referee already. And the clock stops while they have this discussion. And I can tell you, emotions are high for this championship game.
Absolutely.
Look who's in the lineup. We didn't know. Paul Cheng does get the start in the last game of his career at the age of 40. Last night, he did the color commentary for us on our national telecast on our Chinese side.
He's had an accomplished career, not only as an MMA fighter, but also as an actor as well. Susun goes in motion. Reggie Gray on a screen, and not much there as he gets to the 19-yard line.
Continuing on Chang, he had a bad hamstring pull in the game last week when we were down in Shenzhen. Didn't practice. He walked through practice all week, but didn't run a stride. And as of last night, he still had. And I said, "You're not going to play, are you?" And they said, "Hey, it's my last game ever. I'm going down swinging. One way or the other, I'm playing."
So 3rd and 4 coming up. Football at the 19. Good look at Colin Taylor, who was a defensive back at the University of Indiana. Told me he had 2 picks back in college, but hasn't played D-back in a long time.
Wow, that is a big change and another key to this game. We'll have to watch that matchup closely wherever he goes.
And now we have a whistle.
Delay of game, number 3 offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Well, after all that chatter and all that discussion, when they blew the whistle to recycle for the play clock to start again, they still ran through 35 seconds and cost themselves 5 yards. This kind of game, Mick, those kinds of little mistakes are not going to go down well in the end.
Not at all. On the clock down to 3:20 and rolling. Good look at Nizegwu up front with Tien Hao Zhang and Paul Chang. That's that front line for the Beijing Lions.
Think about that. Beijing's first drive chewed up almost half of the quarter.
It did. 3rd and 9 here. And Randall going down. First sack of the day for the Beijing defense, and Nizegwu, Louis Nizegwu, was right there.
A fine player at Wisconsin, a Big Ten player, an all-star. Lines up along with Paul Cheng. We haven't talked a lot about the Beijing defense, but obviously if you come in undefeated, you're solid on both front lines.
First sack of the ball game, and it turns into a 4th and 12.
And a real challenge now for number 3. Randall gets the call from his coach. Not an easy pickup in any league on 4th and 12, and they go for it. There's no punting in arena football.
It's back to the 23-yard line. See if the Beijing defense, the number 1 defense, can hold here on the first possession. Well, we got a lot of motion of people offside. The whistle blows, and unless he was drawn off, that's against Beijing.
Offside, defense, number 44. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
So he had encroached into the neutral zone and was on his way unimpeded to the quarterback, so they blow it dead instead of giving the free play to Randall, who saw some wide open space for his receivers.
Absolutely. So it turns into 4th and 7 now.
A little more manageable.
Absolutely.
And it might bring his big play, big target, Xavier Boyce. We haven't talked about him yet. Number 11, 6'4.5", 235. Flanks out to the top of your screen. He's a big target.
So the football across midfield now to the 23. Randall wants to throw. He's looking deep. Reggie Gray, that's intercepted.
Guess who?
The 7th interception of the year by the number 1 defensive back in this league, and Torres Jones.
Torres Jones, the defensive player of the year, who's been one of the great stories of the CAFL, picks it off. Beijing will have the ball and a chance to go up 2 when we come back on One World. Qingdao not taking advantage of an opportunity early on with Romain out of the lineup in Beijing, which came in with 10 interceptions, now has 11 and 16 total turnovers to add to his safety. So you talk about the Beijing offense, Mick, but you pointed this out, picked this out. Their defense has been opportunistic.
They have the number 1 rated defense when it comes to efficiency, as they stop opponents 48% of the time. And in arena ball, that's a pretty good number.
Really good number.
So here's 1st and 10. Football at the 2-yard line. for the Beijing Lions, and Kalas is back to throw. He is looking deep, and that is incomplete. That pass was thrown deep for Yao Su Lin, and Clint Dozell told me that Su Lin has good speed, and when he had that Chinese on Chinese matchup, he was going to send him on a go route.
The Chinese receivers, if they've had a problem, with the exception of only one or two, it's the long ball. They don't track it well. They're not used to it, and they're certainly not used to the live arms of the American quarterbacks. And sometimes they'll slow down thinking the ball is not going to get to them, and then they underrun the route and miss the chance altogether.
So after the incomplete pass, 2nd and 10 from the 2-yard line. Deeker goes in motion. Kalas throws to the sideline, overthrew his intended receiver, incomplete. There was actually nobody there.
And Beijing trying to figure out how to run their offense without James Romaine in there and relying primarily on Chinese receivers. Kalas, who came in at 71%, Nick, that's 7 out of 10. He's 4 out of 10 to start the game throwing the ball.
Well, like I said, you had a target there, 21 receptions, and now he's gone.
And it's a domino effect, because then you can just really concentrate on 17, put your best man on him, Kaiser, and ask the other guys, come on, try and beat us. And that remains to be seen, but they do have the lead.
Well, when you have Tian Chaozhong, Rashawn Kaiser, Joe Finnison, and maybe even Tanner Varner off the bench, that's not a bad secondary. Kalas wants to throw the short ball. Nice one-hand catch. And up and over goes Deeker.
Well, you know, the rules in China are that if the ball goes into the seats, you get to keep the ball. And I guess they're wondering if the player goes into the seats, do you get to keep the player?
No, I think you have to give him back. So we have reached the end of the quarter. A good look at the catch. We'll be back in a moment. 6-0 Beijing on One World Sports.
Back in Shanghai, Luke Kalas on a one-hand grab by the other quarterback on the roster, Chris Deeker, and he takes a tumble, but you see the young man in the background? Oh, look at that. But he holds on. Deeker's used to it. He's played 5 years in the AFL back home, all as a quarterback, but he's always hasn't been a receiver since high school. Let's go down to Sandra.
北京雄狮队的熊兴龙加油！我们一起对北京队加油，好不好？1、2、3，北京队加油！ They're here for Beijing Lions and they're rooting for Beijing. Go Beijing! Thank you so much, and now toss it back upstairs.
Well, she found some Beijing fans who traveled down from the North Capital, as we heard in the introductions.
I love how all the players representing the North Capital, like the Ohio State University.
Well, there's a huge, it's almost like North and South back home. You know, the North and South, the Yanks and the Rebels. And we're in Shanghai, and Beijing, there's a great rivalry between the two cities, the Southern Capital and the Northern Capital. We're in Shanghai right now, so that got a big roar out of everybody.
Absolutely. Football spotted at the 12-yard line where it's 1st and 10. First play of the second quarter. And Palace wants to throw underneath. There is Deeker who makes the catch at the 20-yard line.
Look how busy Deeker's been with Romain out of the lineup. And Qingdao took a look at his young Chinese receivers early on, is my thought, and did not see them deliver, and has gone to the converted quarterback more and more, who already has 3 grabs. Make it 4, I'm sorry.
Football spotted at the 20-yard line. That was Joe Finnessy on the coverage.
Anyway, Deeker has not caught a pass, he told me, since high school, and that was a throwback, you know, where the quarterback pitches it to the running back and runs around the end and he catches it on a trick play.
Right.
Until he came to China. And now I think he's got about 12 or 13, and he's got a couple touchdowns.
Well, he has improved all facets of the game here in China. Collins wants to throw a 2-step drop, and that ball is incomplete, intended for Colin Taylor.
A little bit of a wind-up, like a pitcher by Collis, not the quick catcher-type delivery from home plate to second base that guy right there, Qingdao likes to teach. The former Hall of Fame quarterback in the Americas, now one of the fine young coaches. Coached Philadelphia to a championship back in August. And hasn't lost since, Mick. How many in a row has he won? 13?
12, I believe.
12, going for 13.
Xiong Li on the offensive line. That means you can have another American receiver. And Deeker comes in motion. They'll try to run for the first down. Only need 2 yards, and I don't think he got it.
No, I didn't think he got it anywhere.
Matt Moss in on the stop.
Was that Deeker on the keeper or Collis?
It's Collis.
Collis took it from under center.
So
to Mick's point, when he says they bring in a Chinese player, so he's Chinese receivers or vice versa, the point is, according to the rules of our first year here, there are 8 players out there for each team. 4 must be China national players. The other 4 are foreigners, in most cases the U.S., but there can't be less than 4 Chinese on the field for either team at all times.
They spotted it across the 21, about 21 and a half. They gave it a first down.
Really?
Yeah, Rod Miller didn't like it. And I was right there with him. Yeah. Here's a ball that is pulled back and away. Wow, that looked like he was going to throw the football. It was Thomas. Put it into the chest of the oncoming rusher, pulled it back, and then just threw it away.
13 attempts now for Collins. The league leader in percentage completions is 71%, and only 5 completions out of 13 so far.
So after the incomplete pass, 2nd and 10 at the 21-yard line, we have 12:16 on the clock, moving Beijing with a 6-0 lead here in the second quarter. Colin Taylor with a 9-yard touchdown reception, the only score. Sinet Wu to the near side. Taylor goes in motion. Deeker also on the right. And they're looking for Colin Taylor. Makes the catch in front of Finnessy. First down.
That's in front of Finnessy. Good call. And that's a better matchup. They got Colin Taylor, according to their scheme, matched up against Finnessy, who's not the defender that Kaiser might be. And here are the leading passers in the CAFL coming into our China Bowl finals today. Collis, best percentage, but Shane Austin, who had a terrific night last night, and those stats aren't included here. He had 254 yards last night and completed 19 out of 23, so you put that in there and you see why Austin was the CAFL Offensive Player of the Year. And you add how many touchdowns? 7. 35 on the season for Shane Austin.
That's impressive. He put on a show again last night. Football at the 14-yard line, where it's 1st and 10. Deeker goes in motion. Collins, 3-step drop, looking for Deeker. Actually, looking for Sinet Wu, and he hit the tripod of the cameraman in the end zone.
And his percentage continues to plummet now.
This is coming right at you.
He was hit from behind, by the way. That's a bird's eye view at the ball coming at you, but he got drilled in the ribs as he jumped and leaped to make the throw, and he paid the price. And that's always the best pass defense, if you can get in the quarterback's face.
A very low-scoring game here in the first half of the China Bowl. Beijing with a 6-0 lead over Qingdao. Beijing trying to stay undefeated as they came in at 5-0. You see Qingdao trying to get his receiver exactly where he wants him. Sinet Wu will be in the slot. Deeker goes in motion. The pass to Deeker, almost intercepted. Kaiser breaking it up.
Well, that's great pass defense by number 6, Rayshawn Kaiser, who breaks on the ball, and that's his specialty. And when he gets that close, usually he gets to keep it.
He does have 1 pick on the season, does Kaiser. So now we're looking at a 3rd and 10.
In a playoff game a couple of years ago back in the States against Cleveland and playing for Philadelphia, Kaiser had 5 interceptions in one playoff game against Shane Austin.
Wow. So he can pick it.
Yeah.
Deeker and Wu to the near side. Taylor will be in motion. Collis with a 3-step drop. Now here comes the thrust. Throws for Deeker, incomplete. But the hurry.
Collis has not thrown off his back foot this many times in the entire season as he has in these first 16 throws. See what I mean? Very difficult, and yet that was a pretty accurate throw and did put it near the hands of Deeker. But remember, this is a converted quarterback who's trying to take the place of one of the best all-around players in the league today, James Romaine, out of the lineup if you're just tuning in to the China Bowl.
Well, you know who applied the pressure on that last play was big number 8, Jake Metz. And now they're looking at a 4th and 10, so you know the heat's coming.
He was my wild card and could be the difference if Qingdao should be the difference if Qingdao would pull the upset.
Xiongyu Zhang is the fullback who has to block, and here comes Metz who knocks it down, incomplete. Good pressure by Moss, and Collis had to throw quickly. Metz went up and knocked it away.
And then took a hit as he was trying to pull it in for an interception. Then number 8, this is what we're talking about, this kind of athleticism that you just don't see from very many defensive linemen, and he personally stops Beijing's drive.
So that drive comes to an abrupt halt. 6-0 Beijing over Qingdao in the first half. Back with more in a moment.
Playing arena football, and this is why defense wins in any football league. There was the pressure by Matt Moss, and that led to a near interception by Jake Metz. And Metz and Moss pressure halts the Beijing drive and has Collis hanging his head just a little bit in the early going, but his team has the lead.
But yet it has not been as explosive as it has through the first 5 games of the Beijing Lions. 1st and 10, and a quick toss is incomplete.
5 for 17 for the league leader in pass completion percentage. I'm talking about Collis. But can Qingdao do anything on offense?
We'll see what Rod Miller and company can crank up here as we have 8 minutes exactly remaining here in the first half.
And they've barely crossed midfield. So all the talk about Clint Ozell's offense, and that's what he's noted for worldwide, and it's really been the Beijing defense so far.
Football at the 9-yard line where it is, I'm sorry, the 14-yard line where it is 2nd and 10. And there's a flag on the play, so let's just hold on.
And Qingdao's offense continues to fall.
False start. Offense, number 22. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Zhang Qinchu, one of the receivers in motion before the snap.
You know, Zhang was a receiver who caught the very first Chinese player to have a touchdown in the CAFL.
And then took a terrible blow to the head on a clean tackle from the shoulder, and with concussion syndrome, missed a couple of weeks.
So after the penalty, the 2nd and 15. Football back of the line. Here is Xavier Boyce making a catch, and he's up to the 19-yard line as Taylor has to bring it down.
That was an excellent tackle by number 17, Colin Taylor, who has to deal with this force coming at him. We've seen Xavier Boyce on one sensational 25-yard touchdown catch and run where he broke 6 tackles on his way to the end zone. So good job by Colin Taylor.
Well, we'll see if they target Boyce a little bit more. He is one of the leading receivers in this league, as he comes into today's action with 21 catches for 7 touchdowns.
Well, he had one game of 11 catches. This 2 times out ago in week 4. 11 catches in one game, but he's hot and cold. They need him to be hot.
You're looking at 3rd and 5.
Oh, now you see both of the offensive guards didn't know where to line up, and both raised their hands as a designated pass receiver, and you just can't do that. And here we are in week 6.
You got to identify who the tight end is, and you can't have 2.
There is no flag on the play for 2 tight end raising their hands.
Oh, okay.
The thing is,
RG ought to know. He's the referee, and he's been calling AFL games for a long time.
At some point, though,
one of them's got to say.
One of them
if you're playing defense, you go, huh? So give me a break, huh?
So you can't have 2. As long as you identify before the snap, and if you don't have a delay of game, you can still sort that out. So that's why there's no flag on that play. So 3rd and 5 at the 19-yard line. 1-step drop, quick toss, Reggie Gray, complete. Oh, now the 12-yard line.
Well, he's got to find number 1 more often. Even if they have to force it a little bit, take their chances. And he was wide open this time underneath the coverage of Torres Jones. We didn't complete a thought on Jones because we went to a break after his interception, but he has been the surprise player of the CAFL with his 7 interceptions, the runaway winner of the Defensive Player of the Year out of Wilson, North Carolina and Western Carolina University. He was the last player to be chosen for a roster. He wasn't even drafted. Last player in, number 1 player of the year on defense.
Amazing. It's just amazing. 1st and 10, 12-yard line. Qingdao Clipper and Brian Randall trying to tie up the game as Gray goes in motion. There's a flag on the play. It goes to Boyce, who makes the catch. He brings it down in the end zone for a score as long as the flag is against the defense.
And again, you would assume it is, since they let the play, let it go through without blowing it dead. The horn sounds for a touchdown. This does ruin the spontaneity of acceleration.
Number 28, Jack, is out of his defensive box. That penalty is refused. Results of the play, touchdown.
So Yao Su Lin out of the box. The touchdown stands. And they have actually been thrown to Gray on this play, but Boyce has such great ups that he pulls it down. So touchdown, Xavier Boyce. That's his 8th of the year. Here's the kick by Chow Ran Lee, and this one is good. And we have our first lead change of the day. Xavier Boyce in the end zone for the touchdown. The extra point is good, and the Qingdao Clipper lead it by a score 7-6. Back with more in a moment on One World Sports.
without number 25 on defense now for Beijing. Look what happens. They throw it up for Boyce, and look who's covering. It's Chris Deeker, the quarterback, now in the secondary, trying to take the place of all-world defensive back James Romain, and he could not cover that big horse, Xavier Boyce.
6'4", 225 with great leaping ability, and it turns into actually 7 points with the extra point. And Chao Ran Lee's kick is a low line drive that's going to bounce. Now, did it get into the end zone? They're going to spot it, I believe, at the 5-yard line. We will take a timeout. 4:51 to play. 7-6 Qingdao over Beijing on One World Sports.
Trick Shot Tuesday, we're going up on a Tuesday here at the CAFL crew. So let's hit it. We got Beijing, Guangzhou, Shanghai, and that's it.
Top receivers in the CAFL through 5 weeks, not counting this weekend's games, and Mike Washington improved on those numbers with another solid night in the Shanghai win last night. But Shine Kalinomuku gained on him with a 4-touchdown night of his own, and Dwayne Brooks also had a good night. And Edward Sennett Wu and Colin Taylor in action in this game that you're watching, along with Reggie Gray. Lou Tilley, Mick Moninghoff back in Shanghai for the China Bowl.
1st and 10 at the 5-yard line, and Collis going to run straight forward up to about the 9. So a gain of about 4 for Collis. Beijing with a deficit here. They don't trail very often. 7-6 our score, with Qingdao out front with 4:18 to play.
Clint Dozell still kind of fishing around to find his offensive rhythm without Romain in there. He's run Collis on design rush plays 4 times now with little success, and he spotted Deeker in there a bit, and he's played a lot of wide receiver.
Olea comes wide to the near side, and the toss goes to Taylor across the middle, and he's up to the 20-yard line.
So he goes back to his one proven receiver on the field right now, and Colin Taylor, and Kaiser, usually in the area, did not get any help that time.
So 3:30 and the clock moving, and the Lions trying to put a drive together here as this first half winds down.
Boy, who would have thought? I certainly wouldn't put the over-under for the first half at 14 points in an arena football game between these two coaches.
And it's only 13 at this point. 1st and 10. Football at the 20. Collins wants to throw deep. He is looking for Taylor. He couldn't bring it in. Deshaun Kaiser defending on the play.
And there's that matchup again. So you figure that Kaiser is going to be looking for 17 wherever he goes on the field. And yet number 17 with his right hand almost pulls this in, but then his head snaps back when he runs into the wall. We've had some real collisions with the wall the last couple of nights here in these playoff games as the intensity is really ramped up.
So a 2nd and 10 coming up with 2:40 to play here in our first half. Taylor goes wide to the far side. Olea comes to the near side, and Deeker will be in motion. The football at the 20-yard line. One-step drop, pocket crumbling and throwing to the near side. I think that is Sinette Wu. No, that is AI who comes down with a catch. No, I'll take that back. That is Jun Xinjiang. They call him Gazer. From Ole Miss, an 11th round pick, no, he did not get the catch. It's incomplete.
7 for 21 now. Luke Collis in the first half came in at 71% complete on the season and hitting on 33% here in the China Bowl championship game.
So now another important down and distance situation, 3rd and 10 with the football at the 20-yard line. As Taylor goes in motion. And they're looking for, I thought they were going to look for Taylor, but that ball is incomplete. There's a flag on the play, so hold on.
Flag was called by the back judge.
Somebody get held up at the line of scrimmage. That would have been Deeker's route, but he was nowhere near the football.
Or an illegal defense.
Illegal formation, defense. The defensive end is too wide. 5-yard penalty, replay 3rd down.
Well, I call them these ticky-tack penalties that really sometimes slow down the Arena League, and the defense really limited by a set of rules that have been in place in the United States for 29 years. And if you more than shade the outside shoulder of either offensive guard, it's called an illegal formation.
And if you go to a 3-point stance, don't pick your hand up.
Well, that's exactly right. It's like motion. It's like the offensive lineman doing the same thing.
Taylor wide to the near side now.
And Deeker will be the motion man. They don't like the way they're lining up, and we come down to the 1-minute warning, Mick.
So we have reached 1 minute to play in our
1
first
minute
half.
timing rules are in
the
effect.
Qingdao Clipper
Both
with a
teams have
7-6 lead over the
1 minute
Beijing
timing
Lions. So we will take a timeout. Hope you're enjoying the first ever China Bowl, a very low-scoring affair here in Shanghai. We'll come back with more in a moment on One World Sports.
理想打进攻线、防守线。那么在这个联赛肯定会6连胜拿到冠军奖杯的。我叫王成林，我希望快船队能够夺得这一届的冠军。很高兴能打进总决赛，还有很多人的一起努力才能走进这个决赛，很不容易。在球场上每一个位置都非常关键，并不是说他为谁服务的，都是大家都是互相为整个球队而服务的。这是一个团队的活动，我们前锋主导前面的人，后面才能得分。我 基本上是防外接手，我只要做好自己的本职工作，不要让外接手去在我的区域内打阵。
我以前在加拿大打职业，然后我现在每天起来，我是很高兴有这个机会来打球在中国。
我感觉我英语进步了很多，然后收获了很多那个友情，然后还有朋友，教练教我。
Hey, Mom and Dad. 6 cities in 6 weeks. It's been a great time, but can't wait to see you soon.
Back in Shanghai, it's the China Bowl. It's the championship after our 6-week tour. Colin Taylor, 338 yards passing versus Shenzhen. That's Luke Collis, pardon me. And that was a record. But just 7 of 21 for just 65 yards here in the first half of the title game against Qingdao. Lou Tilley along with Mick Montehofer in the final minute of the first half.
And now Wayne Tribute will go to the center spot. And here is Taylor behind the defense, caught for a touchdown. Colin Taylor with another touchdown reception, his second of the game and 11th on the season.
And this time the broadcaster Jinx works to the advantage of Beijing. Luke Collis and Colin Taylor. How number 17 got so far behind Rayshawn Kaiser is a little bit of a mystery to me. Maybe we'll see it on the replay. He's the man in motion, top of your screen. I think that was just a one-on-one matchup, and number 6 sometimes is known to break on the ball, break off his routes to try and pick off the ball. And Collis read number 6, threw it over his head for the big score. And boy, was that needed.
It was. Patrick Clark, the third on for the extra point. Chance to make it 13-7. There's a flag on the play. The kick is good, pending the flag.
Well, what a clutch play for Beijing when I tell you those miserable numbers by Collis by comparison. And I can tell you that with a minute to go, they lead the game. You'd be surprised.
Number 8, defense. Half the distance to the goal. Replay to try.
Second time, number 8, Jake Metz, has been offsides on an extra point try. That's a penalty we've seen called probably 50%
the crowd was good. The penalty refused.
So the kick was good. They'll refuse it and take the point. And we'll take a break, Mick.
So we have 53 seconds to play here. 13-7. We'll stay right here.
Well, it's the China Bowl. It's a fun day, and it's been a bowl-like atmosphere all over wherever we've gone in Shanghai this past week. And a lot of people wondered, will the young fans of China, will they understand U.S. football? Everyone wondered, deep philosophical thoughts. Will they understand how to behave at the games? Will they have fun when we play the rock and roll music? Let these pictures be your guide as Ed Wang, former NFL player of Chinese heritage, throws a ball into the stands. They've been having a ball, and so have we, and we hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the first ever CAFL season, the Super Series, only in the United States, courtesy of our new friends at One World Sports, and we thank them for their terrific coverage, support, and promotion through our 6 weeks.
So Patrick Clark III ready to kick this one away. The Judge football, courtesy of Spalding. Reggie Gray is deep, ready to return this kick. He's already had one major return today. And it's going to be an onside kick. It is loose. And it looks like it's going to be recovered by Mr. Brackett.
Pretty predictable play by Clint Ozell if you follow him in his travels throughout the AFL, CAFL
Early
back
on the
home.
play, the receiving team got the ball on the 9-yard line. Please reset the clock to read 52 seconds.
R.G. Tillier from the New Orleans area back with us. Missed a part of the tour. He's a take charge referee. I like the way he calls the game. It's quick, open up the mic, gets it moving again. And Qingdao now will take possession with a lot of time as arena ball goes. 52 seconds with a chance to tie it up or take the lead.
So Sean Brackett recovered that. Here's a good look at Tien Chu Zhang wide out on the near side. 13-7 our score. Gray goes in motion. The handoff goes to Holman, and he rumbles down to the 4-yard line for Jackson Holman.
Now they're trying to kill some clock. The guys in the blue with the red helmets. So they hand it to 99, and just a regular 5-yard run by Jake Holman might take 10 seconds. But especially if someone's holding on to him.
It's first timeout.
They're running it down.
This will be a 30-second timeout.
And a timeout is called. Beijing would like to get the ball back, assuming that Qingdao does score.
Well, Holman has run the football 19 times now this season.
Coming up at the half, a couple of our best of videos as our Lutilli Media production team on hand will present the best celebrations of the year, and that's what caused an internet sensation and a social media explosion for our league, leading to tens of millions to follow us. And then our best hits of the year, and then I'll talk with quarterback J.J. Raderink of Guangzhou and get his thoughts and analysis on our first half of play in our championship game.
2nd and goal at the 4 for the Clipper. They trail by a score of 13-7. Plenty of time, 46 seconds to go. Boyce will be the receiver in motion. And it's Holman again, dropped at the 3. Luis Nizegro was in on the tackle.
That's a battle of the bigs.
Timeout, Beijing. It's second call timeout.
So Beijing will call
30-second timeout.
Nizegro was in on the stop.
Jason Holman, the ball carrier, 6'3", 315 when he started the tour, and after all the great buffets that we've been attending for the last 8 weeks here, be surprised if he's under 3 1/4. Yesterday we had our playoffs, battles for 5th and 3rd place money, and in the first game, the afternoon game seen on One World, Shenzhen easily gets past Dalian 46-30, and Shenzhen, the surprise team of the year with their run game, take 5th place rather, and then Shanghai in a thriller over Guangzhou 57-52.
Yeah, in that Shenzhen game, Dak Britt, his 2nd consecutive 100-yard rushing game. far and away the #1 rusher in this CAFL. 3rd and goal at the 3-yard line. And now we have another whistle. Inadvertent, I guess. As now we're set to go. Maybe not. Motion all over the place.
Ball start. Number 90, offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Sun Shou, Chinese offensive lineman. That's not a question I get back home in America. Come on, football in China, they're not big enough to play, are they? Well, number 90, right there, offsides. 6'2", 335.
He's big enough. So now a little bit tougher for Brian Randall as they go back to the 8-yard line where it's going to be 3rd and goal. We're still at 41 seconds. Clipper with a touchdown and an extra point can grab the lead as we head toward halftime. First ever China Bowl. Boyce goes in motion. Randall, 2-step drop for Reggie Gray, touchdown!
And what a mismatch they had. The loss of James Romaine evident again on the goal line play. Last time it was Chris Deeker trying to cover the tall Xavier Boyce. This time trying to cover the fleet Reggie Gray, and you can see number 5 never had a chance.
So Reggie Gray into the end zone, knocking him out.
That's a good one. Giddy up.
He's creative. Big play, Reggie Gray. Another big play for him. His 11th touchdown of the year. Randall now with 23 passing, and Xiaoran Li on for the extra point and a chance to give his team its 2nd lead of the day. Here's the kick by Li. This one's good. So Xiaoran Li makes it 14-13, and the Clipper back out front.
And here's a look back at yesterday's playoff games as we come to an end of the road. Dalian was wearing the light blue. It's their quarterback, your team, taking off and sprinting into the end zone from 24 yards out. One of the few offensive highlights for Dalian. And that's Dak Britt, who we talked about with the 100-yard rushing. But also, not a bad arm, Mick.
No, Shen with a touchdown catch there.
And in the Shanghai game, Shane Austin just went crazy. 19 for 23.
Schleilu.
Nice
touchdown catch.
But held on. And then number 77, Deshaun Johnson, who was a terrific runner with 3 touchdowns yesterday. And Johnson and Austin and Washington. Mike Washington were the stars in the end. Mike Washington getting the Judge Spirit Award for his leadership on and off the field in his first CAFL season. But we're in the China Bowl, the championship game. We're near the half, and Qingdao is taking a 14-13 lead in front of these fans who are having a ball. About 7,000 on hand here in Shanghai Oriental Stadium today for our finale.
Xiaoran Li has it teed up. He is ready to kick it away with a 14-13 lead after the touchdown reception by Reggie Gray. And here's his kick. It's going to be a deep one. Calvin Vance, about 7 yards deep, comes to the 5, to the 10, and that's going to be all. Up to about the 12-yard line. As Sheila Hall was in on the tackle.
Bears repeating, this is a all-pro defensive end / inside linebacker returning kicks here in the CAFL. Another trickle-down effect of the loss of number 25, James Romaine, voted the Steel Man of the Year, best all-around player in the CAFL, to a nerve injury and not in the starting lineup. You lose him as a defensive back, as a deep play threat on offense as a receiver, and as your kick returner as well.
Yeah, I mean, he also had, 3 interceptions, so you're really missing a lot when James Romaine comes out of the lineup. So here, Luke Collis sees his team trailing 14-13 with still 31 seconds left as Romaine has to watch from the sidelines. Here is a toss to Deeker, and he is up close to the 16-yard line.
Coming up at the half, as we mentioned, we'll take a look at our best touchdown celebrations of the year. And this is one of those videos that has gone viral. And you've seen it on Fox, ESPN, CNN. USA Today has written about it. We've really had great attention. We'll also show our best hits of the year. We've had some great collisions. Good, clean football here.
Please set the clock to read 28 seconds. 28.
And then we'll also speak with J.J. Radaran, the veteran quarterback who just finished up the season with Guangzhou.
Set the clock to read 27 seconds.
And
27.
championship style for JJ last night. He's a smart guy and a fun observer of the game of football, and he'll give us his thoughts as we reach the half. Well, this guy's a wry observer too, Clint Dozell.
Oh yeah, and he knows he still has a full 27 seconds left. You have the 1 minute timing rules in effect, so you can stop the clock by running into the wall and get yourself out of bounds. He'll bring everything out.
Man of Steel award went to James Romain. That's sort of like our version of the Iron Man, but that's taken. So he's our Man of Steel, but not today. Unable to post.
2nd and 5 from the 16. Collins wants to throw. Deeker makes the catch. All the way to the 15-yard line.
Quick drop, quick throw on the double post where you start wide right, head to the post, go all the way across the field, no underneath coverage, cross the face of your defensive back, and that's one of the best. Kaiser for a big gain.
We stop the clock right there with a spike with 10 seconds to go on 1st and 10.
So Deeker, who hasn't played receiver since ever, actually, now with 5 catches in the first half and 3 rushes from scrimmage.
So Wayne Tribune and company trying to block just a little bit harder.
Also coming up at the half, we'll give you a shot of this. Some of our All-Pro, All-Star selections from the North and the South will be presented to the crowd here at the half, as 4 out of our 6 teams have completed the first ever season in China. I'm looking at Dwayne Hollis right in front of me, and Travis Miller, some of the All-Stars. And you'll see them as well.
2nd and 10 at the 15-yard line. Deeker goes in motion, wants to throw, and is tipped and incomplete.
Where's that big-time pass rush from Qingdao? He was back there with all day to try and find an open receiver. And Reggie Miller and the Clipper are very lucky that he didn't spot one for 6.
Sets up a 3rd and 10 coming up.
There's Jake Metz, number 8. His last team that he was signed with was named the Philadelphia Eagles for a couple of days after he finished the championship season with the Philadelphia Soul.
5 seconds to go. Still trying to throw the ball to the end zone, maybe twice, depending on how quick the play will develop. Alea at the bottom of the screen with Deeker in motion. And they're looking for Deeker, caught for a touchdown! Inside the comes of Reggie Gray.
Wow, how did that happen? Was Deeker the man in motion?
We'll have one play for the try, one play for the try.
Yes, he was. And somehow Gray wound up further into the corner. I don't know if it was like a back shoulder throw to the corner. If it was great communications between a quarterback and a guy that's not played receiver on a regular basis in his whole life.
That is his 4th receiving touchdown of the season for Deeker. On for the extra point is Clark. The placement down. Here's his kick, and this one is no good. So Clark misses, and the score remains 19-14 with another big change, with Beijing out front of Qingdao as our first half has come to a close.
What a crazy first half of play, but really well played. And you got to give that man, Chris Deeker, a ton of credit on the receiving end of yet another touchdown toss by Luke Collis, who started off slow but heated up as the game moved along. And Clint Dozell got a better handle on how to play his offense, minus James Romain, his great all-around player. And speaking of Clint Dozell, he's with Sandra right now.
朋友们，大家好！现在站在我旁边的是北京的主教练 Clint. Clint, thank you so much for talking to us. Like, how important was that last drive for you guys to score?
It was real big. We're struggling right now. Obviously, losing Romain's really tough. We got a lot of guys stepping up in some big positions. Deeker, obviously, a great play right there. So we know it's going to be a tough game. In the second half, we know it's going to be tougher.
All right. Well, good luck for the second half. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you.
刚刚教练说呢，刚刚那最后一次达阵非常的重要，因为他们的比分一直在拉得很近，因为他们还有一位非常重要的球员 James Romain 今天没有办法打球，所以他有一些替代的球员。那刚刚就看到是5号的 Chris Deeker 代替 Romain， 然后拿到一个非常漂亮的达阵，所以他很高兴。那他们第2半场呢也要继续加油。那我们现在把现场交回给摄影棚，那 toss it back upstairs to the guys.
Thank you, Sandra. Some of the folks on hand anticipating the second half of our China Bowl championship. The media is here from all over China as well. When we come back, we'll recap our first ever CAFL season with some of the great hits, some of the great plays, and some of the greatest celebrations you've ever seen anywhere, anytime. Be right back.
We're playing a key game on Saturday night. Tick, Shanghai!
互联网拉近你我的距离，视频让娱乐生活触手可及。爱奇艺不断连接人与服务，让人们可以平等便捷地获得更多更好的视频，以及跟视频相关的全方位生活娱乐服务。爱奇艺，悦享品质。
We've been back here in Shanghai where our cheerleaders performing for our big crowd of about 7,000 on hand for our championship game. We've been here in China for about 10 weeks and our crews have covered it all. And we take a look back at the fun that really put us on the map, our post-touchdown celebrations. Those crazy kids, and it's kind of put us on the map in social media. We've had over 300 million views all across the nation, but it's more than just that. There have been great plays, and people don't understand when you play between the walls, the play can get pretty aggressive and pretty rough. Here's some of the greatest hits of our first season, the CAFL 2016. Take a look at this. it's not all fun and games. Welcome back from Shanghai, the China Bowl. I'm Lou Tilley along with Mick Moningham. You know us. This is a new face to the booth this year, but a familiar face to arena fans around the world. Quarterback J.J. Ratterink last night in action with Guangzhou, and when we left them in the fourth quarter, you might not have thought we'd see him out of the hospital by now, the way I painted the picture, but you're okay, right?
I'm doing okay, but yeah, I didn't know where I was going to be spending last night, but it was in my own bed at the hotel. So
you're a gamer.
Yes.
Let's get right into the first half here, and I know you're surprised at the score and the way this has been played.
Absolutely. I really thought that offensively there would be a lot more going on, but it seems like Beijing is going to a little bit more five-step than I would have thought they would have done, especially without James Romaine. And Qingdao on the other side has really just played man-to-man coverage and done a really nice job. Rayshon Kaiser, I feel, has done a nice job on Colin Taylor. And so they've had to do some adjustments there, but Qingdao's done a very nice job of limiting that potent Beijing offense.
Mick?
Well, we'll take a look at some of the highlights. And Beijing went on like a 9-minute drive to start this game. I was a little surprised at the length of this drive before they finally hooked up with Colin Taylor.
Here's the thing, though, JJ. I felt like Clint was trying to find out how to use his guys without Romaine there and a big play threat and putting Deeker in as Colin Taylor gets the spotlight for a moment. But does he have a rhythm down? Do you think he's content with the way he's playing offense right now?
You know, I think it's really tough when you lose a player like James Romaine, especially the way they use him offensively. He and Luke have really developed a rapport throughout the year. So in 1 week to try and get it with Chris Deeker the way that they're trying to do it is awfully difficult. I think that last play of the half right there may be something that can kind of catapult that offense into the second half where they can start to get a little bit more timing. And as we see another pretty good highlight from these guys here celebrating. But I think it's going to be one of those things where it's really tough to get on the same page, especially when you're talking about Deeker, who is a fantastic athlete, but really hasn't played receiver full time throughout his career. So to get that adjustment in one game is tough. But again, that last play of the half could be what helped them in the second half.
All right, quarterback, how does the second half play out, and how do you see the outcome?
I don't see any change out of Qingdao. I think that they're going to stay man-to-man coverage. I think they feel pretty good about the way that they played there. One of the things that they're facing right now is a pretty good defensive front from Beijing. So the protection may be an issue. And when you have receivers like Xavier Boyce and Reggie Gray, you want to do some things downfield. I think that's what they're going to try and do. But Reggie's so good making the defense backpedal. I think if they can dink and dunk underneath, they'll take their shots as the.
Got to go real quick. Did the guys enjoy their first time through China?
I think this was probably the best 2 months of a lot of our lives in many aspects, both from the Chinese nationals and the Americans. I know for me it was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had.
I know Dad's proud of you because you just did 4 minutes of TV. You didn't use one cliche.
That's right. He will be proud.
We'll be right back with more the second half, and we'll show you our All-Stars when we continue from the China Bowl live from Shanghai on One World Sports.
Week number 5 in the CAFL with Beijing taking.
北京队能进入 CAFL 中国碗的决赛，绝对不是靠运气的。他们的四分卫 Luke Collins 有联盟中最高的传球率。Luke 和3位出色的外接员合作愉快，其中一位是中国球员吴尔文，他有26次接球成功，加上5次打正。远传的方面非 Colin Taylor 莫属 ，Taylor 达阵过9次，有38次接球成功。第3位就是 James Romaine， 他有21次接球，5次打正。进攻线的主力是 Neil Tivis、Wayne Tribute， 还有张天豪。北京的防守也很出色，平均每场会有3次挡树型交换。Louis Negu、Paul Chen 还有张祥宇担任防守线，线位则是 Calvin Fans 还有黄耀祖。防守后卫有 Torres Jones 和 James Romaine， 2人的成绩加起来让对手非常害怕。北京的特勤组成功的防止对手在开球后得分。Rustin Moroga 不但在防守上令人注目，在端区进攻也不逊色。加上踢球员 Pat Clark 的准确度是联盟中最高的。这样说来，北京队将会是中国碗冠军赛的大热门。
And it's a special day, in a way, a little bit nostalgic as we wrap up our tour. And just coming off the field right now are the CAFL All-Stars, as elected by the fans. And almost 500,000 got online to vote for our CAFL All-Stars, our dream team. And there are some of the players who are elected from both the North and the South. And you'll see a very liberal sprinkling of Chinese players who are made our first team All-Pro in our first year ever. And to find out more about your favorites, there's Dwayne Hollis, and who made the All-Pro team, the Dream Team, and the Players of the Year. Go to our website. There's Shane Austin, CAFLfootball.com, and there's Sean Kalinamuko, and CAFLChina.com. And no one is more thrilled about all the developments here in China than our founder and the chairman, Marty Judge.
Each game got better and better and better. I think the Chinese, I talked to our American players, the Chinese players got better each week. They start hitting harder. They knew how to play the game, and they adapted really fast. So I was very, very happy with our 6-week series.
Marty Judge, very happy, and welcomes you to get in touch with us if you're interested in investing and becoming a franchise owner. We're ready for the second half of the China Bowl, and standing by with Rod Miller, the coach of Qingdao. Here's Sandra Parks.
各位观众们，大家好！现在站在我旁边的是青岛队的主教练 Coach. Thank you so much for talking to us. What did you tell your guys in the locker room just now to get back in the game, like such a close game right now?
I just told them we have to come out and capitalize on our opportunities. We had a couple of times that we let them out on 3rd and 4th down, and that score right before half was big. So we just have to come out, play smarter, protect the situations that we get, and go from there.
Okay. Oh, good luck for the second half. Thank you so much for talking to us.
All right, thank you.
教练说呢，刚刚他跟他们的球员说，一定要把握住机会，因为他说刚刚他们有很多在3次跟4次进攻的时候，让北京队能够得分成功或是进攻成功哦。他说这个防守方面要再多加强，这样子他们第2半场才会能够取得胜利。我们现在把现场交回给摄影棚 ，toss it back up to the stairs.
It's been a tight, well-played first half, and the fans, 7,000 of them here in the Shanghai Oriental Stadium, have been enjoying American-style football. It's the China Bowl, and we're back with the start of the second half. The title on the line on One World Sports.
Hey, it's been a great trip here. I can't thank everyone enough. It's been a blast, but we're headed home soon.
互联网拉近你我的距离，视频让娱乐生活触手可及。爱奇艺不断连接人与服务，让人们可以平等便捷地获得更多更好的视频，以及跟视频相关的全方位生活娱乐服务。爱奇艺，悦享品质。
All the remains of our barnstorm through the great nation of China is 30 minutes of U.S.-style football, U.S. and China-style football. I'm Lou Tilley, along with Sandra Parks, and here with the second half of the China Bowl, Mick Montyhoff.
All right, thanks very much, Lou. As we take a look at that first half, Reggie Gray ready to return this kick from Patrick Clark III. We'll tell you that it's 19-14 Beijing, but there were 4 lead changes in that first half. And here comes Reggie Gray to the 5, to the 10, and diving forward to about the 14-yard line where Rustin Mayorga is on the tackle.
Gray, always a threat to go the distance, and you just keep wondering when the big play, the big turnover, the big mistake will crop up here to make a 2-score difference. That's usually where the game starts to separate. CAFL merchandise, hats, t-shirts, jerseys, you name it, now available at our online store. Go to our website in the U.S. at CAFLfootball.com to learn more.
So here we go, 1st and 10, 14-yard line for the Clippers. They trail it by a score of 19-14 with their first possession here in the second half. Brian Randall has Reggie Gray and Xavier Boyce on the right, with Boyce in motion. Boyce makes the catch inside the coverage of Torres Jones at about the 24-yard line.
And number 11, a dangerous big target. Good head fake by the quarterback to throw off any underneath coverage. And then back into the middle of the dart for the first down.
So a gain of 10 on the play. Good look at Boyce, who had a touchdown in the first half, his 8th touchdown reception of the season. Xiao's son, the big guy up front, will block. And it looks like Shika Wong is in as a fullback on this series. Here's a quick toss to Reggie Gray, makes the catch. Found a hole in a seam, and he's there for another first down.
So Randall comes out firing. The Qingdao quarterback did not have the ball for much of the first half as Beijing dominated time of possession. And only 8 passes attempted by Randall in the first half, but he hit on 6 of them for 3 touchdowns.
There's a good look at Reggie Gray. 1st and 10. 171 receiving yards against Shenzhen in a loss. And that is an all-time single-game record in the CAFL.
2 ways to look at it. Just 6 of 8 for 64 yards in the first half for the Qingdao quarterback, and yet they're down 5, and they have the ball.
1st and 10, 13-yard line. Gray in motion, pump fake towards Gray, and now here's a quick toss to the side. Complete. Gray makes the catch. He's still going. Finally, there's a whistle. There's a flag.
Set up. Gray a little gimpy as he gets him. Randall,
number 90 offense.
With excellent
10-yard
feet,
penalty,
just enough to make a
first down.
play, but number 90 spotted for holding, so forget that. It didn't happen.
Xiao's son, the guilty party. Right there, you see the hold on the far side.
And R.J. Tillier, the referee, made the call himself.
So holding the call. Turns into a 1st and 20. Back at the 23.
Qingdao just kind of hangs around, right? It's been the story of their season. They don't do a lot that makes your eyes pop, and then there they are. They're in the China Bowl. And here they are hanging around.
Well, when we previewed them, we told you that they are in every game, and they usually have defensive stands down the stretch to keep them in it. Now here's a toss to the end zone. That ball is intercepted. Torres Jones picked it up. That's his 8th interception. He's bringing it back. He's at the 25. Still going. Jumps to the 15. He's all the way to the 4-yard line. Torres Jones.
Unbelievable. This one might have been his best of the year, and he has a one-hander that made the ESPN Top 10 highlights a week ago. But number 24 looks like he's beaten here. And suddenly out of nowhere, where they call the great close, look at him with the one hand again. It was the left hand that snatched it away from Reggie Gray. Then he pulled it in with his right. Then he very nearly broke it 50 yards for the touchdown. Number 24, an exploding shooting star here in the CAFL. One more look at it. Watch the left hand. Stop. Oh my, is he something special. And enjoy as he starts to eye up the close in the finisher, setting up his blockers. And all the way down to the 3-yard line, Torres Jones. And that's why he was the MVP in a landslide voting and the last player selected for the league.
Brian Randall had to make the tackle. Here is a running play, and that is Mayorga into the end zone, but there is a flag, so hold on.
And we just said a moment ago, we're looking for the big mistake that turns this into a 2-score separation. Jones may have done it.
We got an illegal shift. Offense. Number 28 and a high motion man moving at the same time. 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's the kind of thing you don't often see from a Clint Dozell coached team, and you can see Torres exasperated. And by the way, Jones played for Dozell back in Philadelphia on the Philadelphia Soul, but did not get on the field except for the first game of the season when Romaine was injured. Sound familiar? But the last player picked to come over to China as a free agent wasn't even drafted, and he has been the #1 star, I think you have to now say, of this 2016 CAFL season.
We have almost a whole half to play here in the China Bowl. There's only 6 games you play. He's got 8 picks.
Wow. And 7 turnovers forced by fumble.
And I think Dozell wants a timeout because the offense is a little discombobulated. And when you have only a 19-14 lead, you want to get it right.
It'll be a 30-second timeout.
It'll be just 30-second timeout, so I guess we'll keep it here.
But what a turn of events.
And here it is again. I thought I had this written up as a 6-pointer for the other guys, the guys in blue. And then the left hand of Torres Jones. I've told this story in the air a couple of times. We've gotten to be friends here. We're both spent a lot of time in the North Carolina area together, and we kind of bonded, and he's a very nice young man. We've talked about his parents, and we got to know each other, and just talking, shaking hands with him. I said, how big are your hands? There's a picture of me and he on Facebook. It looks like we're high-fiving. His hands are huge, and that's the second one-hand interception he's had this year.
So 1st and goal now, back at the 8-yard line after the penalty. Man in motion. And they're going to run the football once again. That is Deeker. Just around the left end. Gain of a few for Deeker. So Deeker runs at quarterback and runs it to the 5-yard line. Gain of 3.
And that's how they use number 5, and he's a great story in this game. With the loss of Romaine, other guys are stepping up, including number 5, who has played most of the game at wide receiver, now down in the red zone. And even closer than that, Clint will try to use him inside the 5, where he can use his strength as a pure runner, Tebow style.
Jun Xing-Zhang goes wide to the far side. Taylor's going to be in motion. And Alea is in the slot to the right. Deeker drops back 3 steps, now throws to the end zone.
Oh, yeah, he can do that too. He's a pretty accomplished pure passer back in the United States League. So he's just not one of those gimmick wildcat guys that lines up there with one dimension. But now he puts the gloves back on as a wide receiver as Collis comes in on a passing down.
So 3rd and goal at the 5-yard line. Like a movable chess piece. You can put them anywhere.
Well, that's the brilliance of the coach here, isn't it? When he loses a starter as his wide receiver, as his defensive back, and as a kick returner, he's moving the pieces around.
So you saw Kaiser and Finney. Who takes the 6'5" guy, they say, right? 19-14, Beijing. 3rd and goal at the 5-yard line. Flags on the play. Ball is caught by Taylor. He broke the plane, crosses the goal line. It may be a touchdown, but there are flags on the play.
What a great little catch by 17. It looks simple, but the ball was underthrown as he's flying full speed away from the ball and has to reach back and with his fingertips grab
Illegal
it.
formation. Offense. Too many men on the line of scrimmage. The tight end is covered up. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
So that's the second time the formation mistakes and they're flummoxed. How's that for a word? Flummoxed. Formation mistakes have cost Beijing touchdowns twice, taking the ball out of the end zone.
You know, I've been working for 30 years. I think that's the first time I've heard that on the air. Flummoxed.
There are other things that I've said on the air that most people have never mentioned.
I won't repeat.
That might have been why I went to Comcast in the first place.
Regardless, we have a 3rd and goal coming up at the 10-yard line, and every time Beijing gets close, they go 5 yards in the wrong direction.
Yeah, those are 2 big mistakes. If they don't close here, this will cost them.
8:50, and the clock moving. Deeker goes in motion. 3-step drop, looking underneath. Taylor caught for a touchdown.
And he's looking at 17 all the way. Again, that's his go-to guy. If you give him time, or a Clint Dozell team, he's going to designate a strength power receiver, a guy that can use his body to post up and whose hands they trust. And in this case, back home, it's Ryan McDaniel. And in this case, or SK. In this case, it's 17, Colin Taylor. He's looking at him all the way and has just enough of an edge to the corner that he can throw the ball to the wall, and 17 will grab it.
Makes the score 25-14 now. A little breathing room for the Beijing Lions with 8 minutes to play here in the 3rd quarter. Taylor now with another touchdown catch, his 3rd of the game, 12 on the season.
4 catches, 3 of them for touchdowns, Mick.
Luke Collis has 27 passing touchdowns.
Collis' numbers getting better in a hurry.
So since they've missed a couple extra points, they're going to try for a 2-point conversion. And here's a ball that is thrown short and incomplete, so the 2-point is no good. Our scoreboard reads 25-14. Beijing leads Qingdao in the 3rd quarter here in the China Bowl on One World Sports.
our cheerleaders are jumping around to the crowd here in Shanghai. And what's she holding? The QR code. You can take a picture of that if you like right now. And that will take you directly to our CAFL merchandise online shop. You see the logo right there at center field? That's on our shirts, our jackets, our warm-ups, our hoodies, and all of our hats. We have the CAFL hat. We also have individual hats for all 6 of our teams. You see a lot of the folks in the stands are wearing our stuff already, and we invite you to.
Here is Clark's kick. It's gonna be short of the net. Reggie Gray to the 5. Stutter step to the 10. 15. Here's the acceleration. He's at the 25, and he's got the corner. Stiff arm down the sideline, and they say he's out of bounds somewhere around the 10.
And I got to think that Reggie Gray is wishing he could have taken it all the way home. They need a score for sure. They can't fail with the ball down deep now in the red zone. It was a saving tackle by the kicker that forced them against the wall and will force Qingdao to finish something they have not done very well so far in this game.
1st and goal at the 7-yard line after the run by Reggie Gray.
For all the information and content, go back and review our great first season in China and keep up to date as we prepare for 2017. Go to our CAFLfootball.com website.
1st and goal with 6:45 and a chance to climb back in this game. Qingdao Clipper down 25-14. 1-step drop. Now the pocket crumbling. Here comes the rush. Thrown to the corner of the end zone. And
he had to get rid of that. He could not take a big sack. And the veteran pro quarterback, the graduate of Virginia Tech, had just enough legs to get out of harm's way and get rid of it without taking a huge loss.
Vance and his Egwu really applying the pressure on Brian Randall. They're off schedule. Lou is now 2nd and goal. Still at the 7-yard line.
Yeah, that's not on schedule. They don't have a running game down here to speak of, and that has hurt Qingdao through the year. They've got a hole in their offense. It's up to the quarterback to make plays down here.
Boyce will go in motion. Gray on the near side as well. Toss inside. That is Gray for a touchdown.
Always a good idea. Throw it to number 1, one of the shiftiest guys in all of football. And Reggie Gray with another big play. This was just virtually a lateral along the line of scrimmage forward, maybe a yard. And then he cuts to the middle, no inside support, and even the defensive player of the year couldn't stop him.
12th touchdown of the year. And Xiaoran Li is on for the extra point after Randall's 24th touchdown toss. Here's the kick on the way. This one is good. Makes our score 25-21. We will take a timeout. The Qingdao Clipper into the end zone on the touchdown by Reggie Gray. We're back in a moment on One World Sports. Welcome back as we are set for the kick from Xiaoran Li. Gets into this one, and Vance will juggle, and it hits the wall, so it's going to come back to the 5-yard line where it's 1st and 10.
Without James Romaine, Beijing has had virtually no return game, as Vance is by trade. This is how bad it hurt him, losing number 25 at the beginning of this game. He is by trade a defensive end. You just saw him on a pass rush. And a middle linebacker. And Clint Osell has had to use all the football knowledge stored in that big brain and that long, tall Texan body to try and bring home an undefeated season for Beijing, and it's very much in doubt.
We are approaching the 4:30 mark. 25-21, Beijing the lead here late in the 3rd quarter. Luke Collis is the quarterback. He'll send he'll send Chris Deeker in motion on this play. Here's across to Deeker, complete to the 11-yard line. Deeker becoming a favorite target.
He's the leading receiver in the game with 7 catches.
That's something. So a gain up to the 11. And let's check in with Sandra Parks. Sandra?
Well, right now we have a lot of audience members from our hotel, and then we just found out they're actually from Hawaii. And we've been having a really good connections with Hawaii. We have players from Hawaii, we have coaches from Hawaii. We just want to say aloha to them up there. 我们有很多观众朋友是从我们酒店来的，他们都是夏威夷的朋友。我们想跟他们说一声欢迎他们来到我们这个比赛。那我们现在把现场交给摄影棚。Toss it back upstairs.
All right, thank you, Sandra. Yeah, there was a lot of hotel workers who are doing an internship, and they saw a lot of the Hawaii players started conversing. They said, hey, would you like to come to the game? So they came on over to join the China Bowl today.
And we have 7 players on the team representing the U.S. from Hawaii, including Shane Kailanamoko, who made friends with the interns and was real pleased when he found out that Leo and I had sprung a bunch of tickets for them to come to the game today, and they're having a ball.
Fantastic. It's truly an international game. 3 minutes to go. 3rd and 4. Here's a toss that is complete to Colin Taylor. And that will be good enough for a 1st down. Keeps the chains moving.
And for Taylor, that's his 7th catch, and you figured that would be the go-to guy without the secondary threat of James Romaine. And yet they've contained him pretty well, although he has 3 touchdown catches in his 5.
You know who the absentee man is here? Erwin Sinet Wu, because of the package they have to put in. Wu is usually that 5-yard reception guy. He's not in the lineup right now.
Well, I mentioned this earlier, Mick. They tried to go to him early on. He was not responding the way Clint hoped, and that's when he started inserting Deeker instead.
So the 19-yard line. 1st and 10. Collis wants to throw deep, and he missed. Colin Taylor incomplete.
Even with the token pressure there, you can see the difference in Collis, who hasn't been pressured in the pocket much at all on the Super Series so far. And while Metz and Moss may not have big sack numbers, they're very much aware of those 2 big guys coming off the defensive ends.
That's where you're getting some decent play today also from Shilei Hall and Shika Wong.
Well, you can see his chest heaving right now. You know how hard these guys are going at it to win it, and there's significant prize money at stake for the winners, by the way.
88, Hao Ran Yu also getting a lot of playing time on the defense today for the Qingdao Clipper and Rod Miller. Here we're looking at a 2nd and 10 at the 19-yard line. Taylor goes in motion. 3-step drop. Here comes the rush. Just got it away, and it's incomplete. But the old sack master.
Another flailing throw by Collis, who was bailing out and just throwing it up for grabs, really, as he got smashed from the backside. Now, who was that?
That Moss.
Was that Moss?
It was.
And he can't afford to just throw it up there like that too many times. Luckily, he threw it long.
3rd and 10 at the 19. Moss, Metz, Hao Ran Yu, Shilei Hall, those 4 guys causing a little havoc on the front line of the Beijing Lions. Tian Hao Zhang and company trying to keep them away from their quarterback. 3rd and 10, 19-yard line. Collis wants to throw, almost a diving catch, just beyond the reach of Colin Taylor.
And Collis, who was just 11 for 26, but for 143 in the first half, misfires here and has now gone 6 for 13 throwing the ball in the second half.
Now he let him too far. There was a flag on the play. Hold on.
Illegal defense. The Jack linebacker, number 2, went out of his zone. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
That's a play I've been describing in every game that I've broadcast in 6 years now. In arena football, the Jack linebacker can't blitz, can't come forward. Basically, he can go sideline to sideline, but can't go more than 5 yards deep in his drop until the ball is released or until there's a pump fake by the quarterback or the pocket is broken.
It would have been 4th and 10 at the 19. Instead, it's 1st and 10 at the 24. That's
Killer,
a big
killer play, yeah.
Touchdown drop, quick toss. Deeker makes the diving catch.
Not only did they pick up the first down, now they move deep into Qingdao territory.
Another look at the great leaping catch by Chris Deeker.
Well, what a game he's having.
So we have reached the end of the third quarter. The Beijing Lions are driving. They lead the ball game 25-21. The final quarter of the first ever China Bowl coming up when we come back on One World Sports.
观众朋友们，大家好！现在站在我旁边的就是我们的天行达阵小球员啊，这位是我们的4分卫。你现在看球，你觉得哪一队会赢？
我觉得也许是北京雄狮。
Well, he has predicted that Beijing is gonna win this game. 有没有人觉得是青岛的？有没有人觉得是青岛的？they all think it's gonna be Beijing Lions for now. But still, we're gonna go for Qingdao. Everybody say 青岛加油，好不好？
大家一起说青岛加油 ！1, 2, 3，
青岛加油！我们现在把现场还给摄影棚 ，toss it back upstairs.
Those are young youth players from the Skyway Youth Football Group. We've seen them all over our tour of China, and they performed for us 9 times on our 18 games.
Front runners.
Well, Qingdao is suddenly inspired. I was going to say the other way around. They obviously can read the scoreboard.
This is true.
How about that Skyway Youth program, though? They were really impressive. They not only play for us, but they have to put on their drills, and they're in good shape, these young kids.
1st and goal coming up here at the 9-yard line.
Yeah.
Beijing knocking on the door with Deeker in motion. Collis, 2-step drop, throws the jump ball. It's picked off. Kaiser got it. Rashawn Kaiser bringing it back. He's still going, and finally brought down across the 20-yard line. For Rashawn Kaiser, that'll be his 2nd interception of the season.
Well, there it was, the big mistake by Beijing. I said he can't throw it up and just lob it many more times. Not with this ball shark. We're swimming in the waters. Number 6, Rashawn Kaiser on Deeker. And that's a mismatch to the defense this time. And 6 picks it off, and they're very lucky he didn't return it for 6 as well. But could this be the turnover that inspires the Clipper?
Well, we will take a timeout. First major turnover of the day for Luke Collis. 25-21. Beijing back in a moment on One World Sports.
Well, it's the China Bowl, and it's a championship game, and it's the wrap-up of our Super Series and our first ever season in China. How about that? And the cheerleaders are out there, and we're smoking into the fourth quarter, and it's the first turnover of the game thrown by Beijing, and here comes Qingdao on the ball with a chance to take the lead.
25-21. The Qingdao Clipper trailing, but the turnover on the interception by Kaiser, and here comes Brian Randall and company. Boyce goes in motion, flags are on the snap. Let's hold on.
Gotta be the offense this time, right?
You would think.
False start, number 55 offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Fourth time that I can remember Qingdao putting themselves, to use the cliche that the Ratarinks are dead set against, behind the sticks. There have been some sloppy procedural penalties against both offenses.
Going to move them back to the 15-yard line. So Wandell Rutledge, the guilty party, as we now have a 1st and 15 back at the 15. Boyce will be in motion. Gray on the near side. Pursoon on the far side. And Randall steps up, goes for Reggie Gray. It came loose, and they're going to say it's incomplete.
I think he came down on his elbow, got a stinger, or his shoulder, but he's obviously in some pain. But I think that had something to do with why he dropped the ball. And here's why I like Randall. He uses his feet just well enough to find an opening to make a play. I'm not sure that wasn't a completion.
I think they're going to call it a completed pass because he comes down with it, then contact is made as Colin Taylor.
1, 2, 3 times his feet hit the ground before he hits the ground.
Comes out.
Yeah. And he's holding his shoulder, though, and forget the big play that will stand. And if you lose big play Reggie Gray for the rest of the game, you've got a problem.
Yeah, that's a big loss. So it'll be 1st and goal at the 4-yard line. Wow. 13-15, still plenty of time left in this game. Qingdao knocking on the door, trying to grab the lead.
Larry is in a lot of pain, and there's one of our trainers, Brett Allen. He's working on that shoulder, and hopefully it's just a stinger, but the shoulder is an awfully delicate area.
We have 4 lead changes in the first half. Trying to get our 5th, if they can punch one in here. There's the quarterback, Randall, in for the touchdown.
And look at the pep in his step, and the old number 34 is going to grab the center field spotlight to go right, left, right. And shows he still's got the steps.
that he had back at Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. And he's got the steps right here as he fakes right on the counter and then takes it in solo. And he knew he had the end zone. And this is why I said this guy is so dangerous. If you give him an opening, he will seize it.
There's the lead change we were talking about. Number 5, 27-25, and a chance to make it 28 for Chao Ran Lee.
You saw the legs make the pass happen and then the touchdown.
The extra point is good. Makes our score 28-25 on the 4-yard touchdown run by Brian Randall. Qingdao out front. Back with more in a moment on One World Sports at the China Bowl.
He said he's actually just a little bit of a push. He's actually fine. He will be coming back to the game. 我刚刚跟Reggie Gray 有谈到一下下，问他有没有受伤，他说其实没有，只是一点点酸痛，所以他还是可以打球的。所以我们继续观赏他的比赛。我们现在把现场交给摄影棚 ，toss it back upstairs.
Great reporting along the sidelines by Sandra Parks, telling us that Reggie Gray's okay.
Here comes Torres Jones on the return. He's across midfield, picks up a block, still going. Torres Jones to inside the 10-yard line. Down to the 5, first return of the game and a big one for Torres Jones.
Torres Jones, the story of the year in the CAFL, and as Qingdao takes the lead, all the momentum going their way. He goes back for his first kickoff return. What a good hunch play by Clint Dozell. And there's Torres Jones doing something else, taking it all the way down to the 6-yard line.
Going to be first and goal for the Beijing Lions as they trail in this game by a score of 28-25 with 11:36 to play.
Now I'm inspired. I'm in Shanghai, China, playing football, and they're playing my hometown theme right now, Rocky.
First and goal at the 6, Dozell looking for a knockout.
Boy, can he push the buttons, right? He's got Calvin Fantz back there who does nothing, and you don't expect it of a defensive end, and then he puts the talented Torres Jones in the red-hot hand, and he may have turned the game back in Beijing's favor.
Can Rod Miller's defense bring the heat on first and goal at the 6, and Deaker, the running quarterback, takes off to the 5, and he is brought down. Wow. That was Holman who caught him by the ankles and would not let him get it into the end zone.
You're right. He skated off a tough cut block. Big number 99 went sideways, got off his block, and made the tackle on the fleet-footed Deaker.
Got it down to about the 2-yard line, but Holman with a big stop sets up second and goal at the 2.
Boy, if I could show you that again, it was classic defensive line play in any league. How he played off the hook block, got to the outside, and caught the man.
And that's a play you got to make, and he made it. 2nd and goal at the 2. Deeker stays under center. Man in motion, Deeker gonna keep it to the goal line, touchdown!
That's a good call by Dosell. Don't mess around. The last time down there, Collis threw a lob ball up from the 7-yard line and was picked up and turned the game. He sticks with a sure-handed Deeker from under center, who looks like he's shaken up on the tail end of this place as he's hit from behind by Jake Metz, but gets into the end zone and pays the price.
So Deeker with his 4th rushing touchdown of the season. He also has a touchdown reception in this game. He's one of those multifaceted players, and he's making it happen as Beijing back out front, 31-28 with a point pending. Clark on for the extra point. Here is his kick, and this one is good.
So Deeker hurting a little bit, as I thought, after that hit, but feeling real good is Marty Judge, the CEO and founder of the China Football League, on what the future looks like for his league as far as investors and business is concerned.
Up until the series started, it was just a dream. No one wanted to invest in a dream. They had to see the product. That movie, build it, and they will come. That's exactly what we did. We had the series. We had the games being played. And now we got investors. We have investors for CAFL. We have investors that want to buy teams. This is a done deal. This is a happening. This is going to be the biggest sport in China in 10 years. It's going to take time to be the biggest, but we'll be the biggest. Football. American football.
And that's all the result of our super barnstorm through China, the Super Series. Marty just got here and is a very, very good mood for the reasons that you just heard. And he also wanted me to tell you, though, that investment opportunities, even though the money's starting to come in, are still available for the franchises. And Marty revealing plans for the first time yesterday that he expands the league to 10 teams next year. So more opportunities are available, and for more information, go to our website. I'll be telling you all about it at CAFLfootball.com.
Reggie Gray's already had one big return today, and this one's off the net. He will take it with a full head of steam from the 5, still going to the 10, and finally brought down at the 12-yard line.
The important thing is, number 1 is back out on the field, as Sandra just told us live from the sideline. Looks like he's shaking off just a bruise on that shoulder, and they need him if they're going to finish number 1 in this game.
Well, you never know who's going to make the big play. It looked like after the interception by Kaiser with a lead change of 28-25, the Clipper was off and running. But then the big return by Torres Jones sets up Deeker's run, and our 6th lead change of the game has Beijing leading 32-28 with 9 minutes to play in the first ever China Bowl. So here it is, 1st and 10 at the 12-yard line for Brian Randall. Boyce on the near side. Gray goes in motion. Here is Boyce, makes the catch. Nice stiff arm and brought down out to about the 20-yard line.
That happened right in front of us, and I felt it. You know, it's funny, you can't touch the face mask because you're a defender, but on offense you can do this. Oh, man. That doesn't seem fair.
Welcome back to the defensive back position, Colin Taylor.
Yeah, right. He's like, where's face mask? Oh, that's right, I'm on defense now. As I said, more information on how you can invest, how you can get involved with the CAFL. Go to CAFLfootball.com and click on About Us.
1st and 10, 23-yard line after that reception by Xavier Boyce. They need an effort from him in these final 9 minutes. That'll help. Here's a quick toss to Boyce. One-on-one coverage and a nice tackle right there by Colin Taylor.
Now that really was a quick toss. He barely had the ball out of center and kind of shoves it basketball style. That's not what you call a beautiful forward pass.
No.
But the key in the arena game, get the ball out, get it out, take it from center. That's why they don't go shotgun, by the way, because you can get the pass off quicker when you just pass it directly hand to hand.
2nd and 6 across midfield at the 23.
Official attendance for our first ever China Bowl has just been announced to the crowd here. 8,235 in attendance. And that doesn't include security.
There's like a million of them. 2nd and 6 at the 23-yard line. Gray goes in motion. 2-step drop. And that ball came out of his hand. They're going to call it a forward pass incomplete.
Boy, where we are, which is field level because of some issues here, I thought that was a fumble. Let's watch it again.
Oh, yeah, he tried to pull it down, I think, but fortunately threw it down into the ground.
Right, so basically it becomes a spike. Oh, and he ran into Xiao's son, and that's why I thought he was hit.
If he had dropped it back there, it would have been a fumble.
Correct.
But he did bring it forward, and instead it's just the ugliest pass of the day.
That's because his offensive lineman, Xiao's son, got in the way.
7, 8. Yeah, Randall has now completed 8 of his last 9 passes. One of them, the only mistake, was an interception.
3rd and 6, 23-yard line. Gray's going to come in motion as we're down to 6:30. And a 32-28 Beijing lead. 3-step drop, pocket crumbling. Boyce with a big catch. Can still run. Still going. Forward progress is stopped. Xavier Boyce with another completed pass. Nice catch by Boyce. And then it took 2 players to slow him down along the far wall. It's going to set up a first down. .550 in the clock, moving here in our 4th quarter. Qingdao driving, trying to get the lead back. We've already had 6 lead changes. And now the football spotted at the 12-yard line where it's 1st and 10. Gray goes in motion. Looking his way to the end zone, overthrown and incomplete. Torres Jones defending on the play. He already has 2 picks today.
Yeah, isn't that an interesting matchup now? I'd be a little nervous about throwing it anywhere near number 24, even with Reggie Gray as the intended receiver. So Randall made sure if it went anywhere, it was going to go out of play or to Reggie Gray.
It's been a pretty well played game. 32-28. Close, down to the wire. That's what you want in a championship contest.
And it is the China Bowl, the CAFL Championship, live from Shanghai Oriental Stadium.
Tian Hao Zhang goes to the near side. Boyce goes in motion. 3-step drop. The rush is on to the end zone. Caught for a touchdown. Xavier Gray.
And I said it a lot of times. You've been listening to this broadcast. I really respect Brian Randall's ability to move with the football, not to run forward so much, although he has a rushing touchdown, but to make room to make a play, to get a receiver free. And watch how he does just that. As he fakes left, goes right, buys just enough time, and then has just enough arm to find big number 11 to finish it and put him ahead.
Xavier Boyce with a touchdown. That's his 2nd touchdown catch of the game. And just like that, 34-32 with a point pending, trying to make it 35. Kick on the way. This one is blocked. It is loose. It's picked up and returnable. And that is Torres Jones, who's still going. Jones can return it. He could get 2 if he got to the end zone, but he's not going to get there as Sean Brackett knocks him out of bounds. But as we go to break, another lead change. We have had 7 of them in this game. And currently, the Qingdao Clipper lead it 34-32 over Beijing. Back with more in a moment on One World Sports.
And it's been a rough, tough game. A championship caliber playoff championship China Bowl game here in Shanghai. The CAFL's first ever title game. Colin Taylor taking a spill but got up. Deeker getting hit, but he's responded well. Quarterback Luke Collis has taken a bit of a beating from Matt Moss and Jake Metz. And a moment ago, Reggie Gray down, but not out.
Here's the kick from Chow Ran Lee. Torres Jones, who had a great return inside the 10, takes this one back. That was on his last kick. Better coverage this time as he's going to be dropped shy of his own 10-yard line.
And what happens sometimes when you get a nose for the end zone, you start making your cuts before you've made any ground. And Qingdao covered that well, knowing the 24 was back there. It's the China Bowl, the CAFL live from Shanghai. The first ever China Arena Football League season coming to an end today. And with 3:32 to go, it's anybody's game.
Now, what did we talk about earlier? This defense comes up with stops late in games. They lead it 34-32 to the Clipper. We have 3:20 to go. If they get a stop here, you could be looking at the upset. First and 10, 9-yard line. Metz goes back to a linebacker. Here's a toss. That ball is tipped and incomplete. Rashawn Kaiser breaking up Deacon.
Give credit to J.J. Raderink, who was with us at the half, the quarterback of Guangzhou, and an aspiring commentator said he hasn't seen Rashawn Kaiser play this well in the entire China Arena Football League season. And with Romaine missing, he has won most of the battles. The long ball has not been there for Beijing.
Well, Luke Collis and company have to put a drive together now as they trail with 2 minutes and 44 seconds to play. Second and 10 at the 9-yard line. Long way to go. Deeker wide to the far side along with Colin Taylor, who comes in motion. Looking for Taylor underneath route. Dislodged and incomplete. There's your guy, Kaiser.
Yeah, all of a sudden he's emerging as the defensive player of the game, and that's with Torres Jones on the field, who has 2 interceptions.
Well, usually we talk about
illegal defense.
Like Metz,
Number 8
Moss.
linebacker rushed outside.
Here's the
5-yard penalty, automatic
of
first
Kaiser
down.
again, but we have a jack linebacker moving. So a penalty against the defense.
Actually, it was Metz. They said out of position at defensive end. That mystery call to me, but not to these guys. They study it day in, day out. They even go to practice. They've been on tour with us for all 7 weeks as well, and they've been an absolute delight. Our triumvirate of nations. We've got Chinese officials, Americans, and Italians, and our bus rides have been a lot of fun talking football.
They have. First and 10, 14-yard line. Here comes Taylor in motion. Collis looking his way, throwing deep, caught, nope, incomplete. Good coverage by Kaiser.
Kaiser closed. Good defensive back never gives up on the play, even when he's beat. And he gets there late this time. And Taylor's a great receiver, but I think number 6 rakes the ball out, or at least shoves it against the wall and bounces it out. There's a post, cut back to the corner, wide open. The ball's there, and he dropped it.
Well, can't get them all, and Colin Taylor didn't get that one. Second and 10, still at the 14-yard line. More importantly, 1:27 and the clock moving. We will get a timeout in the next 24 seconds.
Boy, mark that one down as possibly a big mistake.
Here's a throw to Deeker across the middle, complete at midfield.
What a machine he's been. That's his 9th catch for 107 yards now for the converted quarterback.
That was a tough catch because he had a defender in Tennessee right on him. Goes for a first down, and we'll set the ball near midfield and take a timeout. The Qingdao Clipper with a 2-point, 34-32 lead over the Beijing Lions with 1 minute remaining here in the first ever China Bowl. Back with a finish on One World Sport.
Hi Titan, hi Berkeley, it's your Uncle C. I wanted to say hello all the way from Shanghai. I miss you both very much and I can't wait to be home to see you. But until then, I've got to get ready for this China Bowl. I love you.
Marty Judge is our founder and the chairman. It was his dream from 5 years ago to put this in motion, and it's come to be a reality now. Here's Marty in Shanghai.
Well, in my opinion, we get 4 more teams, and we don't have a Super Series next year. We play the way the NFL and AFL 1 does, which you'll have 10 teams every weekend. We'll have a game on Sunday. One team will fly to the city. They'll play that team, and then we're going to have Monday Night Football next year. One team will play on Monday Night.
Well, I scooped the boss, Mick. I gave it away. There it is, the announcement that the league will expand by 4 teams next year. Wow. Marty would like to play every night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. That would be 5 games a week. There he is, Marty Judge. And all you back in the Philadelphia Conshohocken area, members of the Maxwell Football Club, you recognize those moves. I'm not sure whose girlfriend he's stolen now. There he is. Let's just enjoy it. Watch the boss. Hey, how many people get to play for a boss like that? There's one of your great owners in football, and he loves his red coat, doesn't he?
Marty Judge is one of a kind,
hey,
but
great work. Great work.
He has brought football to China.
How about that? Great work by our camera guys, and Leo Swatuka, our producer, has done such a great job for 18 games back there to capture all the moments. None better than that one right there.
The Beijing Lions have the football with 1 minute remaining, down by 2.
It's over. Let's toss it out to Sandra to kill a minute or so.
So we'll see who comes out wide on this set. It's going to be Alea on the near side with Deeker and Taylor, who's going to be, actually it's going to be Deeker in motion. On 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line, they run the football with Collis for just a few. So let's get another look at this one. Just an off-tackle play, went for maybe 2 yards, where it comes up to 2nd and 8 at the 23-yard line. So just a 2-yard gain for Luke Collis.
Well, I'll tell you what, Clint Dozell absolutely loves this situation. This is how he plans. He actually wants, he doesn't want to be behind maybe, but he loves to have the ball with under a minute to go at midfield. He's got a whole package, and this is what he gets if he can beat the clock and score the touchdown. The first ever China Bowl trophy going to the winner right here in just a few minutes. And we'll have the full trophy presentation and talk with the winning team and everyone who played in the game, as well as Marty, who will give away the trophy. I'll be out there along with Sandra to do it in the Chinese language as well, Mick, and that's just a couple of moments away.
So the football at the 23-yard line after a 2-yard run by Luke Collis sets up a 2nd and 8. Now you have Rod Miller playing the chess game with Clint Dozell.
See, did that surprise you that Luke Collis, running the ball with 40 seconds left or a minute left? That's because Clint doesn't want any time left. He wants to score and end it and not give it back to Qingdao.
He's trying to play it down to the wire. That's exactly how Qingdao beat Shanghai, taking it down to the wire with Chao-Ran Lee getting the game-winning field goal.
Oh, yeah, field goal's in play here, too, huh?
Yes, it is. Now, 2-step drop, flags all over, and a pass incomplete. That's because Matt Moss was all over the quarterback, but hold on.
And then they threw a late one that might have been a personal foul or maybe a grounding of the football.
Moss got there in such a hurry.
Let's listen. This is important.
There are 2 fouls on the offense. Illegal formation, 5 men on the line of scrimmage. That foul's declined. Intentional grounding, number 3 offense.
Boy.
That foul's accepted. Spotted a pass. 3rd down.
Oh, boy. That is not in the Clint Dozell playbook.
Oh,
that
no.
is not. 2 procedural penalties. That would have been bad enough, but not only do they lose the yardage here, Mick, they lose the down, and suddenly they're in big trouble. 3rd down and about 21, and down 2.
So 3rd and 20, and it puts the football all the way back. What about the 13-yard line? A little more than that.
16, 17.
16.
But that's not the issue. Got to pick up 20 yards with 2 downs.
34 seconds to play. Taylor with a hitch. Flag on the play. Collis covers up. Moss is all over him. Let's hold on.
And Qingdao, as you said, Mick, starting to bring pressure, and those great defensive ends in the line all over. It was a bad snap, bad exchange, could have been disaster. And now what is this penalty call?
Illegal defense. The wrong linebacker rush, number 2. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
That's the young Chinese linebacker who's been called, and that's a first down.
Automatic first down with that kind of penalty. That's the one that cost Shile Hall second time. He's done that today. That's the one that kept a drive alive earlier, when it would have been a 4th and long for the Beijing Lions. So it's 1st and 10, and the football now comes across midfield. That's a little short of midfield at the 22-yard line. 1st and 10 at the 22. 29 seconds left. Here's a quick toss to Taylor, makes the catch, does not break the tackle, and he's shy of the 15 at about the 17-yard line.
And the clock continues to run. Look at it, 19, 18, 7, I'm getting nervous, 16, 15. You've got to be really confident on offense.
And a timeout taken here.
Beijing.
Beijing
called timeout.
With 13 seconds left. I'm surprised it took them that long to call timeout.
That's what I'm saying.
They let about 5 or 6 seconds run off the clock after Taylor made that completed reception at about the 22.
Now, I know you can play this gamble back in the U.S. We've got Clint I'm talking about, his normal complement, all 3 all-pro receivers that he lines up back in Philadelphia with Reynolds and McDaniel and Kylina Moko. But here he's really the only dependable receiver is Colin Taylor, although Deeker has been a force converting over to wide receiver with 9 catches today. But still a lot of ground to cover. And do you have confidence in Patrick Clark to kick a long field goal?
Well, actually, Patrick Clark has not attempted a field goal this season. And he's missed a couple extra points today as well.
Well, how many have been made in the entire season?
Only 2. You had Taylor Russolino making the second in CAFL history last night after Chow Ran Lee hit that one to put his team in the final. 1st and 10, 18-yard line after the completion of Colin Taylor.
Oh, boy.
13 seconds left. Beijing down 34-32. Collis with a 2-step drop wants to throw the near ball, does to Taylor. He is at the 8 and brought down by Finnessy.
6 seconds left. Nice throw by Collis. Great hand grab by Taylor, who was looking for end zone. And Clint Dozell in the background sprinting to get the timeout with 6 seconds left. And that's their final timeout. This could be the last play of the game.
2nd and 1 at the 9-yard line with 6 seconds left. You may get 2 shots, but this, as you say, could be the last play. Qingdao Clipper trying to hold on to the 34-32 lead in the win.
If he completes it in the field of play and he's tackled, it's the end of the game. If he completes it in the end zone, he wins. If it's incomplete, you probably have another play. But if this ball is complete within the field of play and he's tackled without crossing the end zone, it's over.
So throw it to the end zone and hope for the best. 2nd and 1. There's not enough time to run for a first down and spike it, I don't think. Only 6 seconds left. 2nd and 1 at the 9.
No, you couldn't spike it. No. If you could call timeout, maybe.
Will be in motion. Taylor on the far side. Quick cross to Taylor. He is out of bounds with 4 seconds left.
Now what is the signal across the way? Is that complete?
That should have been a completed pass.
They practice that day in, day out, and it's a Dozell staple to stop the clock. And what he's playing for is the field goal.
So it sets up a 1st and 10 at the 4 with 4 seconds left. And you have Patrick Clark III on for a field goal attempt. And a timeout taken by Qingdao.
Timeout. 30-second timeout.
Let's keep that right here. I don't think I've ever seen a Clint Dozell team do that before, to play specifically for the field goal. Never. I don't think I remember that.
They're going to spot it at the 10. It would be an 18-yard field goal to win it.
And a reminder, Those goalposts in arena ball are 9 feet across. 9. I mean, we're only hitting extra points at about a 55% clip. Am I right?
66.6. They're dancing with the devil.
So, go by that math, you got about a 65% chance of winning the game here. What do you think?
Well, he's got the leg. He is the best at extra points at 80%. He's missed a few today.
I say it's good.
He hasn't attempted a field goal. Patrick Clark III for the win with an 18-yard attempt coming up. Colin Taylor is the holder. The placement down. The kick on the way, and it's no good! It's no good! And Qingdao will win the game, 34-32! There is a flag on the play. So hold on. It may not be over. It was wide right. And it all comes down to a call on the field.
I didn't see the flag on the play. This could be after the play.
R.G. Detillier will let a nation know if they have a champion.
It was in the backfield in the area of the kick.
We have an illegal corner blitz. The outside corner rushed the kicker. That's half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down. We will have one play, untimed down.
Illegal corner blitz. So the ball gets moved up inside the 10 to about the 8.
16 yards.
It'll be a 16-yard field goal. I'll call it 17. A 17-yard attempt with no time left for the win. The kick on the way, and this one's good! And Beijing has won the game! 35-34 as Patrick Clark gets a second chance, and sometimes second chances will get it done.
Look at this. Look at this shot. The young Chinese player absolutely overcome with emotion. And if you want to know what this first season, there it is. Look at these two young men who left everything on the field. Hey, welcome to this great, great sport of American football. And what a classic example of the game both the Chinese and American players put on in our premier game. The first ever China Bowl here in Shanghai. Historic. Just to set the scene for what is still to come and describe the feelings on that field right now. Let's go down for a few words from our reporter all series long. Here's Sandra Park on the field. Sandra?
MVP 我们也会介绍给你们我们的明星球员，所以千万不要走开。Now after this, we're gonna have our ceremony. Make sure that you stay tuned with us. Everything was happening on the field right now. The players are just cheering and celebrating. Don't miss us. Make sure that you are staying tuned, and we will come back to you guys. 各位观众，我们再次的跟你们说，不要转台，不要走开，因为我们还会有一个颁奖典礼。现在当然我们的两边的球队互相握手，互相祝贺。但是北京队非常的高兴，他们赢得第1届中国碗的总冠军。Of course, now all the players are congratulating each other, and of course we congratulate the champion, Beijing Lions, for the very first China Bowl championship. And of course, everybody is so surprised and so shocked right now. What an amazing, dramatic ending. Now 我们现在把现场交回给摄影棚。Now we're gonna throw it back upstairs.
Oh, that was great. Thank you, Sandra. On the spot, capturing the emotion. And there is the man, Marty Judge. Hard to miss him in that jacket. Specially made by Legends Clothing. And he is hugging everybody and thanking them, as he should, for the great efforts that they made and for the great effort he made to bring football to China. And right now we're setting up for our presentation ceremony, which will happen right at midfield. I'll be there with Marty Judge. and hand out the trophy. I'm going to head over there right now, Mick, and set it up for us.
All right, thanks very much, Lou Tilley, as Lou makes his way to midfield for the trophy presentation. A winning field goal in the final seconds as Patrick Clark, the third, makes the 17-yarder after missing. Gets that second chance, and Beijing goes undefeated and wins the title. Now you see Marty Judge congratulating Adam Smith, the assistant coach, Erwin Sinet Wu, Patrick Clark III, who gets the game ball with the game-winning quick kick, and Paul Chang right there with him. Marty Judge in the background as the Beijing Lions run the table as they go to 6-0 and win the first ever China Bowl. Lou Tilley is standing by. He's not quite ready yet. We'll toss to Lou in just a moment, as Marty Judge will be presenting the first ever CAFL championship trophy here in Beijing. Lou Tilley is ready, so let's toss to Lou Tilley for the trophy presentation with Marty Judge at midfield, the first ever.
Thank you very much, Nick Monahan, and welcome everyone to Shanghai Oriental Stadium to the first ever China Bowl.
上海东方体育馆的观众朋友们，欢迎你们来到第一届中国碗总冠军的颁奖典礼。
I'm Lou Tilley, she's Sandra Parks, and this is Marty Judge, the founder and chairman of the CAFL. No one in the world more happy than Marty Judge.
在我旁边的是 Lou Tilley， 我们的传播公司总裁，我是 Sandra Parks。在我旁边的是马蒂加基先生，我们的创始人。
Marty, tell me if you can, what kind of feelings and thoughts you're having right now?
I've got tears in my eyes, to be honest. This is a dream come true. It's historical for China, but it means a lot to me. To watch this game go down to the last two kicks. If the fans don't like it, they're crazy! This is great! This is what football is all about in China!
玛丽加基非常的兴奋，他说他眼角已经泛出泪水，因为他辛苦了5年，今天终于看到这样中国碗总冠军的决赛，一直到最后的2秒钟，到一个任意球来够决定得分。他说，如果你们这样看还不喜欢，他不知道该怎么做好，所以希望你们非常喜欢今天的比赛。
Thank you, Sandra. And now joining us, the head football coach. For the first time, the champions of the China Arena Football League, the Beijing Lions and Qingdao Clipper.
现在我们把奖杯颁给我们的总教练 Qingdao Clipper， 他不但是北京雄狮队的总教练，他在今年的暑假也刚刚赢得美国室内橄榄球的总冠军哦，所以现在把奖杯颁给他。
An historic moment now, 5 years in the making. This trophy was just put together about 2 months ago. It reads, the Martin Judge Jr. Trophy for the champion of the China Bowl and the China Arena Football League. And Marty Judge, it's your honor to present it to the winning coach.
现在我们请马蒂加基把这个奖杯颁给我们的总教练。
Clint, people don't know this, but Clint's my coach of my Philadelphia Soul team in Philadelphia. He won the world championship in the United States, and now he's won the world championship in China. Here's to Clint, greatest coach.
Clint 这个总教练呢，他也是费城灵魂队的主教练。就刚刚我说的，他之前在美国赢得室内橄榄球的总冠军，现在他是第1位赢得中国碗的总冠军，非常的厉害，非常的出色。
Let me slip across this way and grab a word with the champion coach who has now won trophies on both sides of the globe in the last 3 months. But Clint, I know that was the last thing in the world you were thinking about when that first kick went wide right.
Man, what a credit to our kicker tonight. I chewed his butt out all night long for missing a few PATs, missing the net, and of course it comes down to a kick at the end. You gotta love the kickers. Hey, hats off to Qingdao. They played their butts off. I wish they hadn't ended the way it did, they played a great game, and they played great all year long, as my guys did.
Clint 刚刚总教练说呢，青岛队其实表现也很出色，但是美式足球就是这样，总是会有一队要输。他刚刚也觉得第一次的任意球没踢进，他的心都掉下来了。但是他非常高兴，第二次的任意球他们能够踢进得分，赢得总冠军。
And one final word of strategy. Losing your great all-around player, the Steel Man of the Year, the best all-around player is voted by his peers, James Romaine, just before game time. You had to come up with some unique strategy to pull this one out.
Yeah, we went back to the high school days of playing both ways. CT and Deeker played both ways for us tonight, offense and defense, and they did a great job for us. Hats off to our whole team. They deserve this. They played well all year long. 6-0, baby. Good job, Beijing Lions.
因为我们的全能球员 James Romaine 今天受伤没有办法比赛，他说他只好回到高中时代的方式，就是防守进攻两面都要打。所以我们的 Chris Deeker 还有Colin Taylor 不但在进攻的时候要打球，他们在防守的时候也表现非常出色。他说非常高兴他们的球队能够赢得这样的荣誉。现在在我们旁边的就是 Colin Taylor， 他进攻跟防守两边都可以打球的球员。
Colin Taylor, number 17, wide receiver and defensive back.
You can say that now. Yeah, thank you. As always, thank everybody who came out here. Thank y'all for staying. Thank you for hanging out. We couldn't be here without you. We love every one of you fans. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it.
他说非常感谢观众朋友们的来临，如果今天没有你们来到我们这边，我们没有办法打这么精彩的球赛。再一次的谢谢观众们来看我们的球赛，真的很感激你们。
And Chris, you told me you hadn't played wide receiver back since junior high school, and you wind up as the leading wide receiver in the championship game.
Yeah, well, it's an easy transition going from quarterback to wide receiver. You already know the routes and the depth of the routes, but hey, great job to our O-line, giving Luke protection all night, and Luke just throwing some great balls to me, so pause. But hey, we had fun tonight, and go Beijing!
Go Beijing!
我们 Chris Deeker 呢，本来其实是4分卫的位置，但是今天为了要帮助进攻，所以他跑回到他中学时代的位置，要来当外接手，结果反而是这一场比赛中接球最多的外接手。他说很感谢他们的进攻线他的保护，还有他的4分卫给他传球非常的精确，所以他非常的高兴。当然最后一句，北京加油。
Marty, talking to Sandra's mic, and tell us where the league goes from here, and what are your thoughts?
Before I do that, I want to say many years ago in the United States, there was the first Super Bowl. Today, we had the first Super Bowl in China. This is history in the making.
Perfect. Can't top it.
Where we're going with this, we have 6 teams this year. Next year, we'll have 10 teams. We'll continue to grow in 5 years to 32 teams in 32 cities. America Arena Football is taking over China!
他说呢，在明年开始我们会有10支队伍，在5年之后我们大概会有32支队伍，在32个不同的城市。他说：“中国，请准备好，美式橄榄球就要来临了。”谢谢你们。我们
Sandra, let's all step aside and get this picture, this great shot for the television cameras. Get in here, guys. Get everybody in the picture. For the television cameras, one last time. With the China Bowl trophy, with Marty Judge. There they are, the champions of the CAFL, the Beijing Lions. And with that, we thank you all for coming.
谢谢你们的光临，谢谢你们来观赏我们的球赛。
And we look forward to seeing you next year.
我们非常期待在明年与你们再见面。
And be sure to follow our progress. And for all your information in the U.S., go to our website at CAFLfootball.com, where we'll be keeping you updated on our new expansion plans and our league for next year. And in China, Sandra?
在中国的话，如果你们要知道我们所有的消息，一定要上我们的网站 www.CAFLChina.com， 在上面你会知道我们所有的讯息，不要忘记跟着我们一起进步，一起成长。
I want to thank you, Sandra, for a fantastic job of handling all your reporting in both English and Mandarin for us.
Well, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. 刚刚我们的总裁说，谢谢我在这边帮他们的工作，做中英文的翻译还有报道。那我也很感谢他。
Tion Wu. The trainers, Kevin C., Brett Allen, Zathan Barr, Colby Clarity, and Bill Reel. And, of course, the Lou Tilley media staff with Lou Tilley and Leo Swatuko, Jeff Moss, Steve Sullivan, Frank Lazar Jr., Alan Price, Rich Lisk, Alvina Austin, John Anderson, Brian Powers, Bonnie Chen, and Ben Chen. And, of course, our announced teams with Wusher Liu and Sandra Parks, Robert Wong, Dae Tong Wong, Seguan Yen, Chao Ran Lee, Paul Chang, and on the U.S. side, special thanks to J.J. Raderink and Dwayne Brooks for joining us in the booth this season. And, of course, all the great videos that we've seen from the players who contributed, like Shane Austin, Christian Wise, and David Aku. This has been a very prestigious championship, the CAFL Network on One World Sports and iQIYI, an exclusive production of LT Media, Lou Tilley Media, and International Media Agency. Once again, the final score, the Beijing Lions winning the very first ever China Bowl over the Qingdao Clipper by the score of 35-34. It has been a great experience here in China, and I hope that you enjoyed it on One World Sports. Now for Lou Tilley, I'm Mick Moninghoff saying so long from Shanghai. Once again, your final score, the Beijing Lions 35, the Qingdao Clipper 34. So long, everybody.